And we are live. Hello, 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 everybody, and thank you so much for tuning into our very, very special Arc 1 Interlude, Hot Springs episode. My name is Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she, and I am the GM and executive producer behind Transplanar RPG, which, if you don't know, we are an all-transgender, person of color-led, 100% homebrew, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, actual play, live stream campaign set in a original, non-colonial, anti-orientalist world. You can find me personally on Twitter at @ByConnieChong and on Tumblr at @DandDaddyIssues. I'm also a professional GM with Magpie Games' curated play program, and I'll just pass along introductions now to the rest of the Transplanar RPG cast. C, why don't you go next?
Hey y'all, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I am a dancer, digital artist, and a TTRPG person. I use they, them pronouns. I think I said that already. I don't really remember though. You can follow me on Twitter at pi_sharp_art or on Tumblr at pi-sharp. My commissions are open and you can see my art right here on the overlay. So if you're interested in something like that for your own overlays or anything like that, hit me up. My commissions are open. This is my cat's butt. And I'll pass it along to Max.
Speaking of cat butts, hi, I'm Max. I go by they, them pronouns. I am a cat parent and textile artist. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Starchmonger. I'm gonna pass it to Erica.
Hi everybody, I am Erica, she, her pronouns. I play the lovable elf sorceress V Noxurzo, and things that I like to do in life, I like to stream. I like to stream professionally. As of yesterday, January 1st, 2021, I do this full time, yay! So you can find me at Erica New Girl. I like to play a lot of horror games. I'm also getting into a lot of Among Us and Phasmophobia lately. So come join me, eat fiery beans. So yeah, it's a good time. I will pass it on to Devin.
Hello everyone, my name's Devin. I use they, them pronouns, and I play music, and I speak some languages. Join the Discord.
Awesome. Thank you, Devin. And
you
of
can
course,
find me there. Yeah.
Go ahead. For our wonderful, wonderful, very special guests this session, why don't y'all introduce yourselves, starting with Gabe? I saw you shaking your head.
I'm Gabe at Gabe James Games across the internet. Cosplayer, voice actor, game designer for digital and tabletop games. Very excited to play with this group. And like everyone else said, join the Discord.
Wonderful. And CB.
Oh, hello. Season's greetings. Hi. My name is Omega Jones, also known as the Critical Bard. Critical Bard across all social media channels. Actor, vocalist, hot mess incarnate. Hashtag Black AF. He, him pronouns. Gay as fuck. And yeah, that's me. Also join the Discord.
Awesome. Thank you for plugging the Discord all across everyone. So as a reminder, you can access our full programming at any time using !schedule in chat. I think chat is broken right now. So we're just going to wait for that to resolve itself. We'll just wait on Twitch to do that. But here's a quick rundown because chat is broken. Sundays at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time, C does an art stream where they do take requests. And Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time are our video gaming nights where we might game with our subs. Thursdays at 4 p.m. U.S. Central Time is One Shot Wonders, where our cast takes a break from D&D to play a one-shot of GM-less, low-prep, and or indie tabletop games. And of course, Saturdays at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time, we play our main D&D campaign. And C, would you like to give a quick blurb about our promo partners?
Absolutely. As a reminder, check out our other promo partners with other trans, queer, and BIMPOC-led streams, pods, and projects by using the !promo partners command in chat at any point. And we're super excited to re-announce again and again that our official merch store is up and coming, so you can use !merch command if Twitch worked to get to our Redbubble store. Maybe one day when it does work. And keep an eye on that because we are going to be adding a bunch of new designs
this year.
Yeah. So keep that up and running. But also we have to thank our lovely donors. Erica, would you be so kind?
Absolutely. We love to acknowledge here everyone who has subbed, gift subbed, resubbed, donated, and or gave bits during episode 15. This includes Rytel, Crude Imposter Nightbright, Goosezilla, Old Man Wote, Dicey Amazon's Hotnies, Mulberry Pie, Shy Magpie, Kel Ocean, Red-Tailed Amateur, Misfit McFly, Elos 516, Brandon Dillard, Antonio Neo 30, Kaze Valera, Bianca Ross 3, Coconut Creek Cali, Mr. Eater the Greatest Alive, T-Few Cast, ZMK9225, Chasing Tails RPG, Captain Clueless 5, and Himbo Claus. Thank you so much. And as you can also see on our overlay, we have a $100 donation goal. Hype! All donations will go directly to our guest stars, split evenly between CB and Gabe. So use that stimulus check and give if you can. Every $20 gifts the party 1 point of collective inspiration, and hitting our goal results in an auto crit that anyone can use, including our GM Connie. We also have a sub goal of 10 subs for this interlude. And now, for a recap of all that has happened in our lives, Max, can you tell us what's going on?
I'll do my best. As a reminder, you can always access our recap by going to bit.ly/transrecap or typing !recap in the chat. Here's a quick summary of everything that's happened up until this point in Arc 1. Arc 1 begins on Adalin. Andake's New Year's Eve celebration. 4 strangers converge at Fireroot Farm. Oka, an Aasimar Blunt Hunter, Dewey, an Aarakocra Artificer, V, an Elf Sorcerer, and Manaya, a half-orc fighter. These 4 strangers band together to find Dalapathi Saeed, a legendary adventurer that each of them seeks to solve their own problems. However, Dalapathi is held hostage by a mysterious organization worshipping the long-extinct copper dragons. At the climax of their confrontation, the world ends. The stars vanish, the gods disappear, and strange creatures begin spawning in the dark. It turns out Dalapathi Saeed is a liar, and the real adventurer he stole his stories from is Dr. Hitzagatan Maluso, a reclusive hermit living on the edge of the Euclid Chasm. Determined to get to the bottom of the world ending, as well as their own personal quests, Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V set out to find Dr. Aluso. Dr. Aluso tests their mettle, then sends them off to Dabathati, the capital of the Republic of Talmud, to investigate rumors of riots in the Ujval mines. Turns out the riots are caused by a potent magical rage, wreaking the capital's populace, originating somewhere within the Godspine mountain range. Our heroes plumb the depths of the Ujval mines and discover the true source of the rage, a broken-off shard of Utabathi, the three-headed god of mountains and war. Oka allows Utabathi to enter their soul, upon which Utabathi says, "You're not my paragon, but you'll do." Meanwhile, Manaya strikes a deal with the mysterious Princess of Leaves to save her own life. Now, our heroes return to Dr. Aluso's homestead for a well-deserved vacation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Max. And thank you for folks who have been resubbing and gift subbing up until this point. I know it can be hard, if not impossible, to reach our tip page because it's usually triggered through a command. You can manually enter it into your URL bar by using streamlabs.com/TransplanarRPG/tip. If you also just Google Transplanar RPG tip, it should be the first result that comes up. So it's through streamlabs.com/TransplanarRPG/tip. So that is the command. I'm going to see if I can put it on the overlay or wait until chat resolves itself. Thank you for your recap, Max, and let's move on to the title of this session. Devin.
Yeah, so as always, the titles of our episodes come from poems by trans, non-binary, people of color authors, BIPOC authors, and today's episode also comes from Yesterday I Was the Moon by Noor Unahar, and the title is actually the whole poem, so I'll just read that off to you. I want stars, strength, and balance in my soul. It's been a while since they were last together in me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Devin. And now we are going to get right into the session itself. Let's do it. I'm going to operate some music on this end. Y'all can't hear it, but the audience can. Okay, here we go. Some content warnings for this episode may include fantasy violence, cults and perhaps cult-like behavior, anxiety and panic attacks, poverty and classism, and economic injustice. Let's begin now with a poem written by our very own Devin, who plays Manaya Wairua, our half-orc fighter. I also just want to point out that we have now $15 out of our $100 tip goal. If we get $5 more, that is a point of collective inspiration to the group. If we hit $100, again, that's an auto crit on the table for anyone to use. So let's begin with this poem. Let us go. Let us go now, you and I, over the snow-covered ground. Where we might go, nobody knows. We may be lost, but soon we'll be found. Let us go now, you and I, upon the ice-covered lake. And as we go, we may meet snow and leave footprints in our wake. And as we lie upon the ground, gazing out at the stars, just as before, with him, them, or her, seeming close, yet so far. And as we return to our home over the ice-covered earth, we say our goodbyes, though we know they are lies, for everywhere we are is our hearth. On the night of Adolin, Andake's raucous and joyous New Year's Eve celebration, where the veils between the now, the after, and the beyond grow thin, Togos Budal does what he has done for the past 62 years as the owner and sole proprietor of the Kuvi Hot Spring and Hostel in southwestern Morose. He closes shop, brews some tea, and takes a soak. Togos eases his aching bones into the shallow end of the persimmon spring, letting out a deep, content sigh, as hot, steaming spring water pools into the gaps of his shell. This old turtle leans against a frost-bitten rock, one of many in the chilly commune, and turns his amber gaze skyward. The stars glimmer brilliantly in the midnight sky, the constellation of the goddess Neat Buza, one of the 8, chief among them, this goddess of ice, thread, and story, shimmering as bright as a promise. Togos is turning to pour himself his 3rd cup of Tulungan tea when the world ends. One by one, the stars go out, winking black in systematic lines from north to south across the night sky. The last thing Togos sees is Neat Buza, the goddess who raised him, by whose starlight he caught his first fish, wove his first scarf, bore his first egg, disappear into nothing. Empty, dark swallows the spring. The kettle slips in Togos' shocked grasp, and his tea splashes hot against his wrist. Then comes the noise. The snapping. The ear-splitting roar from everywhere and nowhere at once, like the tendons of the universe being gutted, and Togos is gone, inside his shell, hiding, his heart pounding against his chest, and a horrible, impossible thought crosses his mind. This is the sound of the gods dying. And the rest, as they say, is history. You know the story. The strange monsters spawning in the aftermath, tearing and ripping and gnashing in this new dark. The now sunless sky during the blankly bright day, the starless, terrifying night. The absent gods. The clerics and paladins whose magics have vanished. The refugees. The panic, the cults. These next 2 months on Andake are chaos, pain, rage, grief. But Togos, today, has a different problem. Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V. The 4 of you stand in front of a hot spring. It is now Swan's End, 2 months after the cataclysm, the end of spring and the beginning of summer. But here, in the snowy, ever-frigid commune of Morose, it is everlasting winter. After all, the entire commune is set upon Zima Lake, a vast, perennially frozen lake in the northernmost reaches of Andake that eventually breaks off into the Sigirni Sea. After your hard work quelling the rage in Talmud, Dr. Hitsaguten Oluso set up a nice vacation for the 4 of you. A week at the Kuvi Hot Spring and Hostel, which, as you may have guessed, is a hot spring and hostel, nestled in a quaint little corner of the frozen Zima Lake. But, like I said earlier, there's a problem. My deepest apologies, but the springs, and Togos gestures toward the hot spring you were promised, except there's no heat radiating off the water, no steam, not even the tiniest bubble on the surface. They're not hot anymore. Before we get to what the four of you do, I just want to acknowledge that someone donated $75, which means the auto crit is on the table. What is 100 divided by 20? Is that 5?
5.
Okay, and 5 points of collective inspiration are also on the table.
Okay, so let's double that goal, right?
So let's double that goal. Wow, someone donated $200 again, so that's 300 out of 100.
Okay, so let's make it 500.
My God, you're you're right. Let's do that. I'm just gonna cap the collective inspiration at 5 here. So beyond this is just gonna be folks' kind heart. So let's get right into the play, shall we? Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V. What do you do? The hot springs are cold.
Well, that doesn't really change anything, right? We could just. I need a bath, right? I need a bath, so we can just. Oka looks at their party rather wildly. And they start
Oka,
unbuckling.
trust me, you don't want a cold bath. Up here.
How cold could it be? Dewey walks over and sticks his toe in.
Make a Constitution saving throw for me.
Oh no.
Oka's also gonna start unbuckling their leather, the leather armor that they have now on their shirt.
As you do, a bite of wintry air gusts across your exposed drow skin, Oka, and you shiver. Dewey, what did you get?
16.
16! Why don't you roll a d4 for me?
What the fuck?
I'm sorry.
3.
You take 3 points of cold damage as you dip your talon in and it's like frost crystals form on your claw. As this is happening, Dewey, Oka, Manaya, the three of you are sort of occupied. V, make a perception check for me.
Oh, lovely.
So you're sort of hanging to the back.
12.
12? I don't know, you're fine. All you see is what I've described to you. You don't hear or see anything different from what I just described. Togos goes, oh, please, don't go in.
Well, if we're lacking heat, V, could you,
I was just thinking, what if I put a fireball into spring? It makes it nice and warm, toasty for like 2 minutes.
Well, no, you'll destroy everything, please. This is my mother and her mother before that and her father before that. This hot spring has been passed down through my family for generations. Please don't destroy it. I'm so sorry it's cold, but I don't know what else to do. Dr. Aluso was a good old friend of mine, so I wanted to do something nice for her friends, and I'm so sorry.
It's quite alright. Is there something we can do to help? Do we know why the hot springs are cold?
Well, there might be something, but I'm sorry, we're closed. And Toko sort of looks beyond the four of your shoulders, and maybe there's a moment where all four of you turn, and we zoom to sort of the entrance of the hot spring again, the gate yawning open, where we see two figures with the sunless sky sort of silhouetting their shoulders. Agun, is that how you pronounce your name? Agun.
Yeah.
Yep. Why don't you describe to us what we see when our eyes lay upon you?
They are a soft brown-skinned elf. One side of their hair is shaved and the other is in dreadlocks. It's a very androgynous and slender look. They have soft robes on top of what you can see is a bit of leather armor underneath. And there's a sly smile looking around, probably with a sense of curiosity. And on their skin, you can actually see what looks to be markings that almost look like stars in the sky reflected on their body itself.
That's beautiful. And as our eyes like slide to your companion, who I believe is of the same height and build as you, Adaria, what do we see?
Yes, you would see someone that if you were to be confused and look in a mirror, you would think it's Agun, but it's not, because while Agun has hair, Adaria doesn't. She is bald. She is very slender, wearing bluish black robes that almost fit like a dress on her, with some silver accoutrements dripping down off of her waist down. She also has a piercing in her nose that connects to her right earlobe with a silver chain. The robes are sleeveless, and if you were to look at her arms, you would see dots that kind of go up with lines connected them, almost like connected dots, almost like a constellation. And she is looking around, same brown skin tone, elven with a dark lip, because still gotta look good. Though she is bald, she is wearing a coven-like black hat that is tilted up, and where Agun is looking curious and interested, she's not looking aloof, but you could tell that there's a purpose behind her eyes as she flits around.
I like that. Before this old turtle says anything, the four of you, how do you respond to the entrance of these newcomers? / do our newcomers say anything upon arriving?
I think so. This party is probably not very quiet.
No, I think
My
Oka's...
sibling should
Not a stealthy campaign.
we heat up the water, do you think?
I believe that would be fun. Maybe.
I do enjoy fun. Let's see what they do.
I'm gonna
Just
let
start walking forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll step forward. It's very Gemini. Like, not that they're the exact same type of person, but like, right leg goes forward and like they start sauntering closer. Jesus, fudge.
Y'all are so generous.
That's what we like to see.
That's what we like to see.
And as the party is probably looking, as we get closer, I'm actually going to cast Create Bonfire underwater, because at no point it says you can't cast it inside of water since it's a magical flame. And I'm just going to concentrate it to try to heat up the water.
You're absolutely right. How does that work? Does it just happen? Can you read the text out loud to me?
Yes, I absolutely can. So, create bonfire. You create a bonfire on the ground that you can see within range, which is 60 feet. Until the spell ends, the magic bonfire fills a 5-foot cube. The bonfire ignites flammable objects in the area that aren't being worn or carried.
Okay.
There's damage text, but I'm not putting it.
Yeah, I don't... Sure, that's fine. What does it look like as you're casting magic?
I think the markings on my body almost flash like it was a shooting star, like light down each of the markings into the hand, and then there's like a little flash in the spot, and then a bonfire just ignites.
Wow. Yeah, bonfire comes to life underneath the water, and all 6 of you now, I suppose, can sort of see, like, as the water begins to bubble a little, as this magical flame is, like, writhing and moving almost in, like, a hypnotic pattern, as the water is trying to quell it, because that's what water does. But this is not just any fire, it is magical. And you see a little bit of steam begin to rise from inside the hot spring.
At the same time, you will see Adaria kind of flick her hand, and as she flicks, a spell book will appear. And she would just flick it open and like look, and if the camera was panned on it, you wouldn't see any words on it, but you will see her stop, smile, pull out a small arcane like wisp, and as she draws this constellation in the air, you hear her say "Pictor," as I cast Prestidigitation and also make that area warm up even more, to help the magical bonfire that has appeared.
Sounds good. The flame seems to grow as you draw this sigil through the air and you say your incantation, and then like the steam begins to rise now, and a little bit of bubbling begins to appear up on the surface of the water. As these two elves stride forward and basically look awesome and cast this magic and fix this problem, seemingly, what do the four of you do? How are you reacting?
Get my toe in again.
Okay. Dewey, you dip your talon in again. What about you, Oka?
Oka's hands have kind of stilled over their armor, and they have a pretty deep understanding of these things. Would I be able to roll perhaps religion to see if I recognize the constellations either on Agun's skin or that Adaria made in the air?
I think that makes sense. Yeah, go ahead and make it a religion roll to see if you can see what is going on here, what kind of magic is at work. While Oka's doing that, what about you, Manaya?
I think Manaya might be engrossed in a small conversation with Togos.
Okay.
Like half paying attention, but probably stops when this happens and turns around and...
Sounds good. You're just watching. Okay, Manaya, you're just sort of like watching your head quirk to the side, perhaps. And you, V?
V is gonna sort of like close up her chrysalis robes a little bit and be. She's very interested because since everything has gone down, you know, magical users have been like cut in half. You know, clerics don't have power anymore and stuff like this. So to find people who have this kind of magic, V's very interested, and I think she's gonna smirk at them and say, "It's very impressive controlled magic. If I would have done my magic, I would have probably just blown something up. Very impressive, friends."
Potentially that could happen later, but I don't think it's necessary at this moment, yes?
No, there's plenty of time for that, just depending on what you would like.
I
What
like you already, friends.
Oka, what did you get?
I got a 16.
A 16. In that case, Agun and Adaria, what would Oka notice about the constellations on your skin and the sigil you drew specifically, Adaria?
Well, Adaria, you would note that out of character, I used real life constellations because who's about to make up some? No,
That's fine.
But she manifested the constellation of Pictor, which is basically the painter's easel. As she painted a new scene for herself using prestidigitation, you can tell she is based in arcane magic, though potentially studied arcane magic. More importantly, studying the stars.
And Agun?
I'd say if they had ever looked at the stars like when they were existing or like a star map, it would almost look like this on their body is literally a reflection of what used to be in the sky, almost like printed on a person.
And I'll step forward a little past my sibling and say, deepest apologies. We haven't seen folk in a little bit of a while. Adaria is the name, and I'll like bow my head a little bit.
Stick my
Manaya.
tongue out. Like
Pleasure to meet
behind
you.
my sibling.
Adaria, and you are?
Oh, I am Agun.
Agun. Pleasure.
What are you doing?
My name is Valerie.
V.
You can call me V. Fine, you're friends.
I have to thank you for fixing the spring. I thought that, well, I suppose my livelihood has been saved. Thank you so much, Adaria and Agun, and Dewey. As this old turtle is like hobbling forward, like leaning on a cane, like to thank these newcomers for, for fixing the hot spring. Your talon begins to defrost, like little bits of the frost that bit your foot earlier is like chipping off and vanishing in the steam. How long does that bonfire last?
It's just a concentration, so I can just keep doing it, and
Cool.
I probably will.
Yeah, sounds good. You sustain it. And Togos, this turtle introduces himself to the two of you. My name is Togos Buddha. Just call me Togos or Old Man Toe. Could you do that for the other springs on the property too? We have 4 more.
No.
Ah.
Oh,
We did not come here to be workers. My apologies if that was the assumption you gathered from our antics.
Oh, that was actually exactly the assumption I gathered. But if not here to help, what are you here for?
Well, a bath, probably.
Oh, yes. But as you can tell, the state of our hot springs is not quite fit for a bath unless you want to sustain that spell for the entirety of your stay.
No. It was just for fun. And showing off.
Oh. You can sort of tell this turtle doesn't really know what to do with this sort of information. He has certainly never met anyone like the two of you before, or the 4 of you as well, standing there. And he goes, well, perhaps there might be a way to fix our problem permanently. I know the 4 of you are from Dr. Eluso. You're here to take a bath, so you might be motivated to fix this permanently, or at least for the duration of your stay. The 2 of you, can I help you? Are you looking for something or someone?
You can call us curious travelers, wandering until we get to something we find interesting.
We've certainly seen some interesting things these past 2 months.
Like
tell.
what?
Well,
Why don't we tell you in exchange for your help in fixing these hot springs? If you know anything about around here, stories are among the greatest forms of currency.
I mean, I do love gold. I do love a good gold.
Well,
V?
yes,
that
we...
trails off.
me.
But as of now, and I'm gonna cast produce with the cantrip in my hand, so is magic.
And it would seem that, and then I stopped talking. Just let that sentence linger for a second.
Huh? The end of Adaria's sentence lingers, broken off, like the end of an icicle. And you allow it to sort of drop and shatter into the conversation. And there's a brief pause. Who breaks the silence?
But we are ones that are very rich.
V's eyes light up a little bit.
Well... Anyway, Togos, what can you tell us about the hot springs? When did they... How are they built? When did they go out?
Well,
What do you know?
I've known what I've known since I was but an egg myself. These hot springs have been in my family's care for generations, like I said. My great, my ancestors, not even great-great-grandparents, ancestors, let's say. There's a myth, a story passed down from my mother's mother to her and to me, about how a spirit, a fire spirit, keeps these hot springs going. A spirit made of pure magic and power, residing somewhere, and he gestures, even though this is set upon a lake. This isn't just a normal frozen lake like you might find in like Colorado or something. There are like hills and like formations and divots and cracks and fissures strewn all across Zima that make it less of just like a flat plain and more of like an actual like a space with topography. And he gestures towards some foothills in the near distance. He says, my mother told me and her mother told her that the flames that fan and allow these hot springs to stay hot come from there. And every 5 years we do a, pilgrimage there to pay our respects to an ancient shrine and to the spirit that looks over Kuvi.
Well, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say at this point, but on our travels we've met some emissaries of the gods, and they've been a little restless lately, so
Restless as in...
restless as in, and Oka kind of like thumbs this deep scar that kind of crosses their mouth and basically splits their mouth vertically. Dangerous.
Well, one who doesn't have their currency anymore tends to become reckless, as you say. Makes sense.
I'm sorry, currency? What are we talking about? Gold?
Something more valuable than gold.
Toko sort of scratches the back of his bald head with a tortoise-like claw and says, well, I'm not much of a spellcaster myself. All I know is the hot spring and tending to it. But if the 6 of you could fix this somehow, perhaps do that pilgrimage. I'm much too old to do it myself. I have to take care of my family here. I would be most grateful.
Sibling, I think helping them may assist in our research, possibly.
You
Research.
always know what goes on in my brain. As out of character, I was going to say the exact same thing.
We could say, like, in story, you say at the same time, like a twin moment or something. Like a Gemini twin moment.
Matt looks back at the 4 of them. We'll assist. This will be useful for all of us. You all get a bath. We get information.
Yes.
We
Now
all
that
get
is
rich.
valuable. Yes, exactly. You, V, you're so clever.
Well, okay. Yeah, all these like social like maneuvering seem to go right over Togos' head, and he goes, "Oh, awesome! Well, thank you. I very much appreciate that." Yes.
Togos, if you're all ready, you may go. I'm going to stay and ask about the pilgrimage and the ritual. If Togos, you're willing to share.
Well, of course. Are you sure you'll be able to catch up with the rest of your party in time?
She's got
I'll be
a
quite all right.
huge leg span.
That's
It's
true.
Like I have to jog to keep up.
You are very tall. And Manai, will you remind us how tall you are?
7.5 feet.
7.5 feet. Yeah, Toga. Everybody.
Just under the threshold for being a large creature.
I see. You're really towing that line. Okay, Devin. Togos nods and says, of course. Well, that's true. You do have a wide leg span. And Dewey, I notice your eyes. I think maybe Agun and Adaria also notice that your eyes glimmer a little at the mention of research. And sort of on this, is the rest of you, aside from Manaya, are you all like feeling pretty equipped to head out to the foothills? Or do you want to stay, poke around a little bit more?
V just wants to be wherever the twins are.
Me too. Dewey as well.
Oka looks wistfully kind of back at the warmed bath, you know, but they will they'll hoof it along after everyone else.
Okay. Agun, Adaria.
Seeing Oko again, is it?
Oka.
Oka. Sorry if I do that. Like, my apologies. Seeing Oka, they can tell that there's a shiver or a longing. They will trace that same constellation once more, and whatever clothes they are wearing will just get slightly warmer.
Nice.
And I would say, luckily, those of us with currency still know how to use it and pay it forward a little bit.
I'd like to look at Dewey and V. Make sure that you don't spend it all. Some currency is finite. What is my sibling doing? And then I walk back to my sibling.
V is gonna like get close to doing, just be like, I love these two so much. They're special.
These are the most capable, most educated. Let's keep up with them.
We're like running to keep up.
Yeah, the two of you hoof it along. Oka, in your nice warm clothes now, you also follow Adaria and Agun. You set out toward those foothills that Togos gestured toward. And as you go, a light flurry of snow begins to fall. So let's go to Manaya and Togos first. You watch the 5 of your companions, old and new, set off as just the lightest bit of flurry begins to descend from an overcast but ever shining sky. You know it's about like mid-afternoon. It's going to be evening soon when the night beasts come to hunt. So you wanna do your business quickly, in and out, because nighttime now in Andake is extremely dangerous. And Manaya, you turn to Togos. Togos is sort of leaning on his cane. As soon as like Ogun is like out of range, I'm assuming the bonfire dissipates. Yep. And like the steam remains a little bit as a bit of the heat, is trapped in the water, but it begins to dissipate as well, and a chill settles over the hot spring once more. And Togos leans against his cane and sadly and wistfully looks at the springs. I hope they'll be okay.
They're more capable than they look, and those two new companions seem like they know what they're doing.
They do, but I don't know if I trust them farther than I can hawk an egg. There's something about the way the one with hair smiles.
Oh, trust me, I've had my fair share of questionable folk, and some of them are more trustworthy than you think. Shall we? And Manai gestures towards wherever there's places to sit.
Yeah, he leads you toward the inn itself, the hostel. It's like a establishment made of wood, felt, tarp, and bone. He leads you up like a ramp that sort of like helps him along. He goes inside and gestures toward like mats for you to sit. And there's like a bonfire in the center. Not a magical one, but like an actual bonfire, sort of burning in the middle. And you can smell something delicious, meats in a stew perhaps, cooking upon the fire. And he gestures for you to sit. Please, have a seat. What is it that you wish to ask me, Manaya?
We've had some run-ins as adventurers with spirits, emissaries of the gods, and they see the few that we came in words. The few that we had interactions with seem to have been overcome with some sort of rage. What I would like to know, if you're willing to share, is the ritual. How do you perform the ritual? What sort of things does the spirit respond well to?
First of all, adventurers sent by Dr. Eluso, of course, are extremely competent, so I'm not surprised to hear that you've had minglings with spirits and emissaries, but you have to know, Manaya, normal people never see an emissary in their entire life. The fact that you've mentioned several perplexes me. A rage? I wouldn't know anything about it. The spirit that protects Kuvi has protected us. How do you think these hot springs are still standing? Even after the vanishing, the cataclysm? I'm sure that Galtanger and Itbuza's divine protection have shielded us from these monstrosities so far. As for the ritual, I'm not sure of what you speak.
You mentioned that your family has made pilgrimages to the hills.
Yes. We leave offerings at the shrine.
Leave offerings?
Yes, at an ancient shrine to appease the spirit there and keep their protection over our family's homestead going. Perhaps the spirit is simply displeased. I mean, it's not offering season, but perhaps they want more, especially in the absence.
Perhaps. What sort of things do you give?
Well, and sort of on that, we're gonna cut to Agun and Adaria's faces as flecks of snow begin to sort of linger on your eyelashes, get on your skin. Adaria, I know you mentioned you have a sleeveless robe on. It's starting to get kind of chilly. It's like melting against your warm skin, and the snow's starting to fall in a more medium quantity. No blizzard, no gusts of wind, but it is starting to snow. And lagging behind just a few paces are Oka, Dewey, and V. What did the 5 of you do?
I'll say that in this cold area, I would have also precipitized my own clothing to keep it warm for the next hour.
Sure. Yeah.
Look, use these spells like they're intended, yo. But past that, you can tell she's not really that perturbed. It's not that she's not cold; she's just not showing it. But she, once they started to go, she flicked open her spell book once more, and searched and smiled and flicked it away. A note: most wizards can't just flick their spell books away and back, so it's interesting that she can do it. But she would just whistle a soft whistle, and popping out of the sky, you'd see a black owl.
You seem to have muted your microphone.
Crap.
Black owl circling.
Yes, black owl circles around and lands on my shoulder, and I knock to her. You might be useful. Thank you for joining us. But this is my owl familiar.
Do you control this familiar, or do I, as a GM, in terms of like how it speaks, or does it speak to you?
You know what? You have fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Take it. It's a very good connection. I mean, it's like a I'll message you. But yes, it's she's cool. Noctua also has she her pronouns, and yeah, I think it's walking.
Sounds good. Yeah. As Noctua is sort of like circling overhead, you hear her familiar voice resonate telepathically with you, Daria, and she goes, Daria, the snow is increasing. We must make haste.
I know. Do not worry.
Oh, but I do.
I'll turn to my sibling. She's worried about the cold. Perhaps we should pick up the pace.
Okay. I'm gonna reach into my satchel and pull out a robe and put the robe on to get myself a little bit warmer. And the whole time, Agun's been looking around, but you notice that this robe is covered in eyes. And for the first time, Agun stops looking around so rapidly. But the eyes on the robe, you see one look at you, Oka. You'll see one look at you, V, and one look at you, Dewey. You see one following Noctua. And then Agun this time is just actually looking forward and produces another flame in their hands, and then holds it between themselves and their sibling. Let us move faster. I suppose I'll focus.
V is going to actually use a sorcery point to use her elemental affinity to gain resistance to cold.
Oh, that's cool.
Just for some spice.
What does that look like?
She's starting to get cold. She's like wrapping herself in these chrysalis robes, and she's like sort of reaches down and feels that sort of that weave flowing through her veins, that draconic ancestry. And she reaches down, she feels something click, because this is actually new magic for her. And suddenly she like unlocks it, and it just feels like she can feel this resistance to cold. So it feels a little bit warmer than what she was feeling a few seconds ago.
Sounds good. Does it look like anything special physically? Like, do we see like maybe like ice crystals webbing across your face, or do you mostly look the same?
I think the greenish shimmer that is on her white skin just starts to glow a little bit more.
Okay, sounds good.
It's very pronounced now.
Cool. And you don't feel the cold biting at your fingers so prominently and the tips of your exposed elven ears so much anymore. Oka, Dewey?
Okay, I have a question, DM.
Yeah.
Oka's a little bit warm now, but they consider this brand new tattoo that I think is still healing on their right arm in the shape of a blade, like completely filled in with black ink. And they look at it, and they just kind of like flex their palm. Would it be possible, since this is technically my new blood hunter weapon, to use my rite of flame on it?
Yeah.
It's still in my body, like to make it basically light my arm on fire.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I think you can just do that. So what does it look like? Does your arm just...
I think it actually just, like, the tattoo just kind of turns red, you know? It, like, gets a little bit redder, and then it starts to steam a little.
Okay.
And then it's kind of like embers, like dying embers crackling underneath, like just in the ink.
Yeah, sounds good. The tattoo, which was black, begins to burn red, and all of you sort of see a bit of
damage from it.
Oh, you'd say, oh right, because it's still a blood hunter, right?
That's fine.
Such an edgelord. What an edgy class. Take damage to deal damage, and you all of you sort of hear like a crackling of embers as Oka's tattoo of a blade that was etched onto their right arm begins to glow and shimmer. What about you, Dewey?
Dewey watches his two companions have these like magical resistances to cold, and also sees like Agun's eye cloak, and he kind of sheepishly just like drapes a bedroll over himself and like pulls the hood down so like the eyes aren't looking at him anymore, and also he doesn't have magics, so he doesn't have the same fire magic as everyone else, so he's just keeping warm in a normal kind of way.
Yeah, everyone's got like cool magic shit going on, and then Dewey's just sort of like trudging in the back, sloughing through the snow. Speaking of which, more
The good
snow.
thing about
Go ahead.
about just really quickly. The good thing about prestidigitation is you can technically cast it 3 different times and have it all active. So, myself, Oka, and Dewey, I will cast it on your bedroll as well, just so you can be a little warm, a little bit.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, Dewey, you feel the cowl, the makeshift cowl you formed with your bedroll begin to glow, like you're inside a heated blanket, almost. And the 5 of you continue to trudge through the snow. And as you do all of your little things, the snow begins to fall more heavily. And Agun and Adaria, at sort of like leading the group, you see those foothills begin to, flicker in and out of view as the flurries intensify.
I think it might be prudent for us to wait for Manaya. I wouldn't want her to get lost.
Is there anywhere to shelter while we wait?
Do not worry. And I will, if that is what you believe you might need, I will a little away from the group, and you'll see me flicker out that same spell book and flip to a page, and I'll pull out the constellation, drawing it in the air. And as I'm doing this, actually I'm using non-cantrippy magic. You see the connected dots that are on her arms begin to glow as I ritual cast Tiny Hut.
Hey, that's such a good spell. That takes 10 minutes as a ritual, right?
It does, yeah.
Okay. So you begin to glow, and how do you shape the terrain around you as you're casting Tiny Hut?
You see, as the tattoos, whatever you want to call them, marquees, are slowly lighting up, and her eyes begin to shimmer with that star-like essence. The constellation that was drawn in the air begins to take shape. It actually almost forms like a spectral mountain. But that, I mean, it's just going to be a dome, but you kind of see this shimmer of what could be, what the actual constellation represents. And as I'm working, you start to see flurries and wind kind of go around, and you will see Noctua just like,
Yes.
But it's very fluid, but it's more about the visual versus what she's actually doing. And yeah, she kind of gets in the zone.
Yeah.
I'd like to ritual cast with you, actually, if I may. I'm going to ritually cast Skywrite to say, Manaya, we are in the hut below.
Wow. Do these words just sort of appear like as a marker above the
yes,
hut?
so they look like they're like made of cloud, and then I'm just going to make like a down pointing arrow as well if I can.
Wow, it's so nice.
I'll do a little heart as well, just because it's fun.
Isn't it awesome to have like multiple casters in a party? You can just solve the problems of survival and fatigue with like 2
I was
spells.
a ranger for how many levels? I'm never this good at surviving.
My spells are for ripping people off. So.
Yeah, these spells are for killing and ripping people off. Okay, I love that. So for y'all see Agun and Adaria begin to ritual cast these spells. You see clouds begin to like tear themselves away from the blizzard and like form like glowing script in the air as Agun is like gesturing and chanting perhaps. I'm not sure what the components are exactly for that spell. Similarly for Adaria, you see glowing constellations. Noctua sort of ruffle her feathers a little above head and like the flurries begin to dissipate around this hut, right? This like mountainous like construction that is appearing out of thin air. And what is sort of like the scene we leave the three of y'all on, Oka, Dewey, and V, before we flash back to Manaya?
Oka lets their jaw drop, and they have 2 pupils in each eye, and all 4 of them widen, and they go, "All right, I'm not waiting any longer. I have some questions."
Dewey?
Yeah, Dewey's kind of forgets to hold up his cloak. It's like,
Yeah, awesome. And
I've
V-
only seen V's magic.
Exactly. What about you, V,
And
speaking of
then-
which?
V's gonna pull out a torch actually, and instead of lighting it, she's gonna use the spell light to make the end glow like she normally does, and just like stick it in the side of this hut, so it's like a nice little porch light.
It's your contribution to this awesome magic that's happening. Okay, and sort of off Oka's, like, I have questions for the 2 of you. We're gonna flash over to Togos now. Manaya, you have been ladled a bowl of stew by Togos, and Togos is also like sipping at the stew as the 2 of you converse in front of this roaring real bonfire in the center of this yurt, basically, this yurt-like configuration. And Togos goes, "The offerings we make. Fruits, of course, meats, stories, most of all. Everyone here in the commune trades and traffics in stories. A good story is worth its weight in gold, as we say. Please drink some. Have some stew."
Thank you.
It seems to be getting heavier outside. Perhaps you'd like to rejoin your companion soon?
Yes, I would. No, I believe in them. Is there anything else you can tell me that will help?
Yes,
Please, I want to do everything I can.
definitely. This concerns your companions, though, of course. Here we are safe, I believe, because of the protection of the spirit, Shatak, who protects Kuvi Hot Spring and Hostel 50% off in the Cataclysm for us days. But out there in the blizzard, there are monsters older than these strange new, I don't even know what to call them, darkspawn? Are we gonna get copyrighted for that? Dragon Age? These strange new creatures and beasts are new and they're terrifying, but there are much older forces at play here. Your companions, especially in the snow, are in danger of, he sort of leans forward, yetis. They hunt in the blizzard with their pack of winter wolves.
Oh. They won't do well if they're surrounded. I better go after them. Manai stands up. Thank you oh so very much for the food, for your information. We'll
Of
do our best
course,
to fix this.
certainly. And, if you see any creatures, capybaras at the destination, don't hurt them. They are friends of the spirit.
Wouldn't think of it.
Good. Well, I'll be waiting here for the 6 of you to return.
This may get a little weird, so you'll have to excuse me, but I will be off. And as she's walking out towards the entrance, she's going to sort of look up and say, "Princess, are you there?"
Are you talking to me?
No. She closes her eyes and focuses. "Princess, I need your help. I need to find my friends. Do you know where they are? Can you take me to them?"
As you're focusing on this Princess of Leaves, this entity, this patron with whom you've struck a warlock deal, you're trying to tap into her power, her magic, but you can't seem to get her. She's not gone, but she seems to be resting, tired. Even that conversation she had with you but 3 days ago seems to have tired her out.
Yeah, All right. And then she walks out, and through a combination of instinctively looking up at the stars to navigate, but there aren't any, and also trying to track through your footprints, she'll make her way towards the foothills.
Okay, I won't make you roll for it because I think you can see, because of Skybright. As you step outside, you see, like, half of a message, like forming in the sky, and like half of a huge arrow and a heart, like glowing cloud, like point at a point perhaps maybe like a couple hundred, maybe like 2,000 feet away from where you were. Maybe, I don't know how far y'all would have gone, but at a near distance, the middle distance, let's say. And Manaya, you steel your shoulders against the now intensifying snow that is whiffing down from the heavens. And Manaya, as you're trudging through the snow, we go now to Agun, Adaria, Oka, Dewey, and V. The ritual is done.
I didn't get anything.
And I would say, once I step out of that trance-like spell work, not necessarily tired, but you can tell that it took a little bit, I would say, oh, yes, I believe we should step inside. Luckily, you all are friends now. You actually can do that. And she'll disappear into the tiny hut. On the outside, it looks, opaque, but it's like white with some flecks of brown, black, and blue to just more blend into the surroundings, especially with the ongoing storm. But when you step inside, it is clear, but you will see like certain like lights flipping on and out as you see a artificial starscape within the tiny hut.
Very cool.
I don't think Agun turns their head at all, but you see the eyes collectively look at each of you like one by one, and then they just say, "Well, it's cold. Don't stay out here too long." And they walk into the hut.
V is going to look at Oka and Dewey and just kind of smile and be like, "What do you think of our new friends?"
Honestly, it's the closest I've felt to the stars in a while. Oddly comforting. And Oka's gonna head into the tiny hut. But they don't really understand magic super well, so they kind of like put their hand through first, and then like pull it out again, and then they just kind of like sidle in sideways using their shoulder to go in first, and like their head goes last kind of thing, and that's how they get in.
I can't believe we survived a 40-day journey at the wilderness without them.
Yeah, me neither. Dewey, do you say that and then go in as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Your torch burns as a cute little, like, front porch beacon as you also follow Agun and Adaria inside. Inside, is it, like, warm? I've never had Tiny Hut used in a campaign of mine before. How does that...
I can make it feel however I want, but it's typically just a soft warmth, comfortable inside. Can't really change the ground much, but as much as possible. But yeah, it feels good. It's easy to relax in. You still can like hear everything on the outside, so the whirling of the flurries and stuff probably is audible. I might have just lied about that, but yeah, it is very comfortable and very nice.
Can it be attacked?
No. All other creatures and objects are barred from passing through it. Magic and other effects can extend through the dome or be cast through. So it's just a dome. It can be dispelled, but
sure.
No, you hit it, you donk.
There's no armor class or anything. It's just impenetrable until the casting time is up.
Yep.
Cool.
Which is 8 hours if I want to keep it up. I have to stay inside.
Sounds good. Is it concentration spell or no?
Nope.
Awesome. I don't know why none of my wizards have chosen this spell before in the past. I think it's because they're like, survival, who needs that? Cool. So now the 5 of you are inside this tiny hut. It's warm, it's nice, you can still hear and see everything, which means you're not like blindsided by anything, but nothing can get in, right? And you can sort of see like the flurries like buffeting forming like a spherical, like a dome around where you're standing and sitting. And then all 5 of you hear kind of a distant howl, like a wolf howl. And it's joined by other resounding howls. And sort of on this, Manaya, you're trekking toward the arrow. Make a perception check for me.
First roll of the session.
No.
It scared me. It's a 7. It looked like a 1.
It's
7 plus
it's not great.
5.
7 plus 5.
5. Yeah, so
12?
12.
Okay. With a 12, Manaya, as you're maybe like 500, 400, like 300 feet away from this hut that you can barely see. You wouldn't have been able to notice it with your 12 if it weren't for the huge arrow pointing down, because it's camouflaged pretty well against the flurry and the blizzard, given Adaria's little flourishes. But you hear that howl at the same time as everyone else. And you sort of see on the fringes of your perception darting shadows within the blizzard. What do you do?
Manaya's going to keep going towards the arrow, but take out her battle axe and sort of spin and look around as she's walking.
Okay.
Just keeping an eye out as best she can.
With your 12, you're not sure if it's the howling of the wind and the whipping of ice, or if there's something growling just beyond the boundaries of your perception. And all of you now see Manaya's form emerging from the blizzard, with her battle axe out.
How long did it take for us to see Manaya's? Like, once we got into the hut, how long was it?
Maybe half a minute.
Oh, okay, that was faster than I expected. Okay, no worries. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. Yeah. Seeing that, I believe that is your friend. Yes.
Yep.
Dewey pokes his head out through the door, like really quickly, and like waves, and then pulls his head back in.
Maybe. Manaya's gonna put her axe away, take one last glance around. Is the hut itself glowing, or is it just the torch outside that produces light?
The hut itself is not glowing. It is inconspicuous. You could not tell it was a hut, other than the thing pointed down.
Okay. Manaya's gonna go up to the hut, see the torch, and take it and enter the hut.
Okay. Manaya, as you reach for the torch and take it, something lunges out of the flurry. It was perfectly camouflaged. Adaria and Agun, what are your passive perceptions?
Let me see. 16.
16?
Agun, and you got the robe of eye zone, so technically Yosef is even higher.
Oh,
because
shit,
you have an
right.
advantage. You get +5. I'm like, you good. 14 for me.
14. Well, how does the robe help you with? Does it affect passive perception?
So it looks like it actually doesn't affect passive perception. It gives me advantage on perception checks. I can see invisible creatures and objects as well onto the ethereal plane.
Cool. That's pretty useful. But yeah, I think with your total passive perceptions, I think the highest is actually our 16 here. All of you notice as it happens, big form, its fur, pure white, mottled gray, camouflaged it perfectly against the blizzard. You don't see it, Manaya, until it barrels into you, and its huge snout of this gigantic wolf, perhaps the size of a bear, perhaps a brown bear, rears against you. Still smaller than you because you're 7.5 feet tall, but it's pretty damn big. Rears into you, and its huge, like, snapping jaw clamps down on your arm, and it's gonna get you for 4 points of piercing damage. And another 3 points of cold, as this like magical kind of like cold chills you to the bone. And make a strength save for me. I asked our fighter. 12. You are bowled backward and knocked prone as this winter growling, snarling wolf with beaming red eyes falls on top of you. And sort of on this, and all of you now hear like the snarling and howling of wolves nearby surrounding this hut, right? We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. And when we come back, we're going to see what happens with this wolf puzzle. So yeah, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back in 10 minutes. We reached our tip and interlude sub goal, but if you want to keep giving, please do. I think chat is still down. You can tip by going to streamlabs.com/transplanar/tip, and you can sub to us by just hitting that sub button. Great, we'll be back in 10 minutes. See y'all soon.
If I go fast instead of slowly, instead of last, if my father survives me, if I explode, if I go up in smoke, if I go quietly, when I go quiet, give my heart to my mother, she'll know what to do. Give my songs to my lover, she'll know what to do. Give my bones to my father, my poems to my sister, my love to one another. Give it all to each other. And I suppose the soul can go to the children. I suppose the trash can go to the museum. I suppose the dreams can go in the casket. I suppose the blood will go where you ask it. Will go where you ask it. Will spill where you ask it. Will spill where you ask. I'll spill where you ask. I'll spill where you ask. I'll spill. I'll spill. I'll spill. I'll spill. I was once the tree, and I was the paper. I was the hair, and I was the razor. I was the leg, I was the table. I was the cloth, and I was the indigo. And I was the indigo, and I was the indigo. And I was the indigo, and I was the color girl. And I was the color girl, and I was the color girl. And I was the color girl, and I was the color girl. Doom just fucking and that's all. Laughing in your room, riding in your car, promising myself I won't let this go too far. And yet here we are, so. And yet here we are, so. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing? I'm not your boyfriend, but I'm somebody. I'm not emotionally available, mentally stable, but I'd like to be the blue light when we're out with our friends, be the blue light asking where the night should end, be the blue light saying come over, be the blue light in the cold on your shoulders, lying in my room, playing solitaire, lying to myself, saying I'm too cool to care, but you're coming over, and you wanna know what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing? 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 What are we doing here? College parties, college drinking, all you outcasts gather round, roll a fat one, pour the shots, give this death all you've got. Let the liquor loosen your mouth, make a bow with friendly tongues, call your lover, say you're sorry, then go back to making fun. Your friends are drunk and useless, welcome to see you. The night is young and ruthless, and you want to disappear in the hallway.
Hello, 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 everybody. It's so great to see all of your non-existent beautiful faces once again. Welcome back to the second half of our very, very special Arc 1 Interlude Hot Springs episode. Let's just go around again for anyone joining us after the break. Quick introductions, just names, pronouns, your characters, names and pronouns, and class and race and stuff like that. I'm Connie, I'm the GM. My pronouns are they, he, and she. I'll pass things along to Gabe.
Hi, I'm Gabe at James Games. My pronouns are he, him. I'm playing Agwoon, the High Elf Druid, and their pronouns are they, them.
Wonderful. What about you, CB?
Hi, my name is Omega Jones, also known as the Critical Bard across all social media channels, he, him pronouns, and I am playing the High Elf Wizard, Adaria.
Wonderful. And what are Adaria's pronouns?
She, her.
Awesome. And now let's move on to our Aasimar Blood Hunter.
Well, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me on the internet at PieSharpArt. And I play Okahaye, our blood hunter Aasimar, who also uses they, them pronouns.
Fantastic. Devin.
Hello, my name's Devin. I use they, them pronouns. I play Manaya, who uses she, her pronouns.
Great. Thank you. Max.
I go by they, them pronouns, and I play Dewey Quirk, the Aarakocra artificer, who goes by he, him pronoun.
And last but not least, Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica, she, her pronouns. You can find me Erica New Girl on all platforms. And I play V. Nocturzo, elf sorcerer extraordinaire, who also uses she, her pronouns.
You sure do. As a reminder, we have a tip goal that we already reached. Thank you so much, generous chat. But if you're feeling even more generous, let's try to hit it again. You can access the donate link by using !tip. All tips go directly to Gabe and CB, our lovely guests, and are split equally amongst them. If you want to support us, you can sub to us. We reached our sub goal earlier as well, but let's keep the love going. Moving on to the session itself, again, a reminder about content warnings, fantasy violence, cults and cult-like behavior, anxiety and panic attacks, poverty and classism, economic injustice. I also want to say that this episode was made possible by Springboard for the Arts. Springboard for the Arts is a Fergus Falls and St. Paul, Minnesota-based arts organization for, by, and about artists that helps artists make a living, get paid, and get sponsored. So thank you so much. We are sponsored by them for this very special episode, Springboard for the Arts. We appreciate you. We love you. Yeah, I think that's all the announcements that we have top of session before we roll right back into the middle of a wolf chomping on Manaya. So Manaya, after taking that damage, you reel backward and you're knocked flat onto your back as this wolf sort of growls on top of you. I'm not going to make y'all roll initiative, but sort of as this wolf attacks you, what do the rest of you do inside the hut?
I would have, right before Manaya arrived, I would have, because I believe, with Agwoon and Adaria being travelers, they would know some of the things that can be out here.
Sure.
And she just says, we will have to deal with some things outside. This is not a hit at anyone's abilities, but who might be the less dexterous of the three of you?
Oka looks at... Actually, I have no idea.
I'm pretty dexterous. I'm pretty high up there.
As am I. It might be Manaya.
Yeah, I look through the hut at Manaya.
Well, it'll be right before Manaya gets here, so it'll be...
Wistfully looks into the night.
I'll look at Oka just to be, because nothing against Dewey or V, but especially knowing that they have the power that they have within them, I think Adarius has honed in. And she'll simply hold out her wrist, and the glowing, one of the lights on her constellations begins to glow as she plucks it out, and she hands like a magic orb basically to you, and like presses it against with permission, presses it against your shoulder and says, that might help you a little bit. As I cast Gift of Alacrity on you, you can add a 1d8 to your initiative.
Oh.
If we end up rolling initiative in the next 8 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe I should ask y'all to roll initiative just so we can use that.
Do it.
The game's like, well, I'm not sure about that.
Well, as I think Oka is a little startled, but they allow Adaria to press the light into their shoulder, and as she does so, a handful of freckles actually like ping with the same light across their face for like just a second.
Very cool.
I've seen you a star touched too. Interesting. That's all.
No, I love that. Yeah, maybe the constellation that actually flashes for a moment. And Adaria, roll nature for me. As you see the constellation.
Okay. Sorry.
Nature is interesting. I thought you said religion.
Nature, because it's the stars.
It's a 13.
13. You recognize it. It is one of the 8 major constellations. It is not any, the one that you were thinking of, maybe. A different one flashed on Oka's face. It is the constellation of Sen, who is the god and goddess of change and nature and transformation. Just for a moment, lights up Oka's face.
She jots that down in her brain. Says nothing.
It is very odd. It does stand out to you, but you don't share anything. I love that. Okay, so now we push rubber band back to the present, where Manaya is sort of squirming underneath this huge winter wolf that's snarling and snapping at her. And with this like gift of alacrity within you, Oka, you can feel it. You're very like go, 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 go. Like it's like liquid mercury sort of like simmering in your veins. What are y'all doing?
I would like to cast Speak with Animals.
Okay. How does that work?
So it's a verbal and somatic, and it'll probably be like the tattoos glow again, but then rather than saying words, more like, and then just going to walk to the edge and ask the wolf why they're so angry.
Okay. As Agun is talking to the wolf, can the wolf hear you through the hut?
I think so.
Yes, I believe sound can go through the hut.
Cool. Sounds
It
good.
doesn't say, yeah, sound can go through the hut.
Great. Agun, as you approach and these snarling noises start coming out of your mouth, very different from sort of like the cheerful, exuberant demeanor you had earlier. You approach the edge. What are the rest of our party doing?
Well, I mean, if Oka's like amped up here, I think even before they realize that Agun is doing anything, they're like, okay, Manaya's here. They look away for 1 second. They turn around. Manaya's on the ground with a wolf on top of her. And they just go, I just wanted to take a bath! And they are actually going to just fucking launch themselves at the wolf, like from the side. Yeah, I think that's what this magic is doing. They're amped.
Okay, sounds good. Dewey, V, and Adaria, the three of you hear Oka go bath and then launch themselves. I think you soar over Agun as Agun's like approaching the wolf, and you sort of see Oka's like gray body like fly over you. As this is happening, V and Dewey, what are the two of you doing?
V is going to cast the minute meteor spell. So you just see like she's going to like flick away this chrysalis robe, and her hand that has the diamond in it is going to light up Kelly green, and like 6 fire meteors are going to like pop out and start orbiting around her.
Okay. They begin to float around you like they're orbiting a neuron star, and you're the focal point of this magic, and all of you can sort of like feel like magic begin to radiate off of V as these like meteors begin to orbit her. What about you, Dewey?
Dewey is on the ground screaming in the corner as far away as possible from where Manaya and the wolf are, and where Agun is speaking wolf noises.
Okay, Dewey, you're cowering and hiding. You're letting the rest of these folks like deal with whatever the heck is going on, and you're
Chilling in a hut.
You're chilling in the hut. You scrabble away. Yep, you were, and now you are very, very caught off guard, and you sort of cower away from everything that's going on. Okay, how are we going to resolve this? Let's do Agun first. While Oka's getting amped up, right? And before Oka launches themselves over, you ask, why are you so angry to this wolf? And the wolf sort of snaps its huge, like, red gaze upon you, Agun, and it snarls. And in its, like, gnarled speech, you understand, feed, hunger, hunger, starve. And then Oka soars over your head. And Oka, how I'm going to resolve this with lack of initiative is if you use any sort of dexterity check, if you use acrobatics, I'll let you add a d8 to that roll.
I will go ahead.
Make an
and do
acrobatics
that.
check as you're trying to grapple this wolf.
Yep. I also don't think that Oka can physically get over Agun's head. I think maybe they go past.
Okay, you go past instead of soaring over. I thought it'd be cinematic, but yeah, sure, you go past. That's fine.
Cool. Let me roll this. That was a fucking nat 20! That was a fucking nat 20, baby!
Roll your d8. If you want to.
Nat 20 plus my dex, 23, 26. Holy shit. That is a 27 total. I only rolled 1 on my d8,
27?
unfortunately.
Okay.
27 total.
How are you taking the wolf off of Manaya?
I mean, Oka's a monster hunter. This is what they do. They know exactly how to, like, this is a wolf. This isn't even a monster. They know how to, it's kind of like, cowboys can, like, jump off their horses and, like, get they can rope a cow into in, like, a way that they're unable to move, like, so fucking fast. Oka does that with this wolf.
Okay.
They barrel into it, grab one leg, pull it to the back leg. They somehow got their chain out, they wrap the chain around, grab the other leg, and they are in the snow with it.
Okay, you are grappling with this wolf, and due to your high roll, you don't take any damage at all, and it is completely successful. The wolf's maws snapping at you, and Agun can hear it go, "Oh, pain, enemy, kill," as it's like snapping and roaring and growling. While this is that makes sense. It checks out. While this is happening, Manaya, Oka tackles this wolf off of you. You can hear like growling and snapping coming from inside the hut, but you can't see Agun because it's opaque from the outside, I'm assuming. What do you do?
Well, wolves travel in packs, and I heard another wolf from inside the tent, so she's gonna scramble up as best she can and book it into the tent, or book it into the hut.
She can do that, right, Adaria? Counts as a friend?
Luckily, she is one.
Okay, luckily she is. You run into the hut, and you see Agun sort of like at the edge, a little bit of the snarl still emanating from their mouth. Adaria, what are you doing?
Chilling. No, she is a calculated individual. And seeing this one, she's not worried about this one wolf, because if they all get inside, guess what? That wolf can't get inside.
Mm-hmm.
But she is watching and prepared just in case if anything goes wrong.
Okay. Manaya, you see Adaria chilling. You see Dewey not chilling. You see V surrounded by these meteors that you've seen her envelop herself in before. And you notice that Oka is now on the ground outside grappling with a wolf. What's the play here now, y'all?
As soon as Manaya doesn't see a threat inside the hut, she's gonna go back out to go help Oka.
Okay. The rest of you?
V is gonna shout out, "Get away from that wolf!" And she's gonna like take 2 of the meteors and like be prepared to throw them in her bonus action if there was such a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Oka, once they have this wolf immobilized on the ground, they kind of like look down and they're like, "We're just trying to take a bath, okay? I just want a bath." And they like look up at Manaya, and they're like, "That's all we came here for. I don't want to deal with this." And they keep the wolf chained on the ground.
Okay.
But they back off real, I don't think they're very far away from it at all, the edge of the hut, and they'll kind of back up into it.
Okay.
And pull Manaya along.
Manaya, are you coming?
Yeah, on the way, supposedly she dropped the torch. She's gonna pick it up and say, "V, is this yours?
Yes, that is mine.
Would you
Thank
put
for
it out?
taking it.
I think the light's attracting them."
It was for you. And
Thank you, but
V lets light wipe away the edge of it stops glowing.
Okay. As soon as the light stops glowing, Agun, is your skyrite still active, or did you dissipate it?
I'll probably dismiss it.
Okay, you flick your wrist and it disappears. And as the light disappears as well from the torch, like a kind of darkness settles. This cloud cover from the blizzard, or whatever it is, seems to be blotting out much of the fading evening light. And as soon as like that light goes away, all of you sort of hear like the wolf on the ground like, oh, begin to whimper as it's like wrapped up in these chains. And Oka and Manaya, you retreat successfully into the hut. And all of you see this like wolf wiggling on the ground. And you see other wolves emerge from this new darkness, but they're no longer interested in the hut. They're all sort of like going like maybe 2, 3, 4 other wolves come forward, and they're all like nuzzling their fallen companion. They seem uninterested now in y'all because they can't seem to sense you now that the light is gone. And they're now more interested in just helping their pack member. And for now, go ahead.
I know it may be dark outside, but it is dimly lit inside. The hut does have a natural glow, but you can't see it from the outside.
Yep, that makes sense. And for now, the 6 of you are safe.
What an impressive little shelter you've got here.
Well, sometimes when you are traveling like we do, it is necessary to be able to fend for yourself versus go into a place that might not care for you.
I think there are a lot of places that don't care for you much anymore. Or anyone, really. Too many
Funny how that
monsters.
works.
V is going to stick her hand out, like whatever direction the meteors are spinning, she's going to stick her hand out, and like one by one, they're just, as they pass into her hand, they're going back. She's absorbing the magic back into her. Yep, exactly.
Dewey, are you alright? You seem a little, well...
Dewey picks himself off the floor. A little bit embarrassed. It's like, wolves aren't really, canine threats of all sorts aren't really my... Can we go?
Right, sorry about that.
Can we keep moving? They're still out there. Are we gonna wait here until they go?
They can't get in here, can they?
Can they?
No.
Thankfully, no. However, it would be wise to see if the storm lets up even a little bit before we continue on.
Do we have
Besides-
anything we could make a sled out of?
Sled.
What?
Agun asked if there's anything you can make a sled out of.
I think Oka, ruffles through their bag a little bit. They pull out like a few vials with like weird liquid in it. They pull out another chain. They pull out a hunting trap and a bedroll. There you go.
V
What's your thought
goes
here?
into her pack and pulls out like 50 feet of rope and a box of cigars.
How many bedrolls do we have?
Well, Dewey's been wearing mine as a cloak for a few days now.
So
V-
one.
Agwin
He
is
pulls
basically
out
going
her
to
bedroll.
try to see if we can fashion together almost like sleds to stand on top. Actually, we might not need that.
Do you have a plan, sibling?
I do, sibling. May I have some of your rations, please?
I'll hand some over.
Alright, so I'm gonna take a couple from my sibling. I'll take 3 of my own rations. And here's my plan, DM, because I'm just gonna tell it to you outright.
Go for it.
I am going to toss 5 days of rations to the wolves. I'm going to also cast I just wrote it down. Where was it? Animal friendship on the one that is tied up. And then I'm going to speak with animals, tell them that I'm going to release them and offer them food if they will take us to our destination.
I love that. Okay. Does anyone else want to contribute to this plan in some way, or?
I would a couple of things. Noticing what my sibling is doing. One, I would press to digitize that smooth to smell like the best steak they have ever experienced in their code lives. And honestly, yeah, they just sticking around, and if other things are necessary, I will do them as needed. But right now, just helping that initial connection happen. They're better with animals than I am.
Sounds good. And the rest of you?
So, we ought to ride them then? They're certainly large enough.
Oh, we won't have to ride them. We'll be able to glide.
Oh, like a vehicle.
Like
And-
what?
Dewey
What's a vehicle?
dumps out his bag, and it's just like scrap metal and like chunks of it's like random metal things. Like, you think this one will work?
Possibly.
Okay.
Although I have something even more interesting than that. If
Okay.
you would like to see it.
Yeah.
As long as they choose not to eat us.
Oh, if they do, that would be a problem for them, not us.
True.
Could say that again.
That would be a problem for them, not us.
Okay. Any other contributions, conversations before we employ this plan?
V pulls out 2 rations, takes a deep breath because it's not in her nature to give things away. She's like, this hurts. And then she doesn't even look at herself giving it away, but she just hands it over to Agwoon.
Thank you, V.
I look at
Then
her in
I-
shock.
Yeah, Manaya shoulders Oka. That's what we call character development.
I think she has a crush.
Okay, are the rest of you
That
coughing
far.
up some rations, or are we taking what's shared between the twins and V?
I would donate some rations. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oka, Dewey, and Manaya?
I'll keep mine to distribute to the rest of us or the wolves later.
Sounds good. So if you're donating rations, mark off how many rations you're donating. I don't think it matters so much for our guests, unless y'all return at a later date, but it does matter for our main campaign PCs to mark off those ration boxes. So do that. We're gonna deplete your resources. You cough up, you fork over some rations to Agwoon. And Adaria, what does prestidigitation look like as you're making these smell really good?
As I summon Pictor, it smells like a nice filet mignon. No, but like a nice medium rare piece of juicy meat. Some pieces smell like fish. Like a nice I was about to say tilapia. Tilapia is not nice. Like a bass or something that's just been pan fried and seared. Some poultry, just nice, a conglomerate of different meats that Adaria has tasted in her life. And you can just see that the essence of Stardust upon them. Like if you look hard enough, not really there. It's not like, something that looks scared of wolves. But yeah, and then you can even kind of smell that now as before they even are given to the wolves.
Yeah, all of you maybe start salivating a little as Adaria casts the spell, and the rations smell really, really, really freaking good. So Agwoon, you've now got quite a few rations. You got an armful, let's say, more than 5 days worth, more like closer to 7 or 9 days worth of rations between all of you. Now what's the play here?
Is the intelligence of this wolf a 4 or lower? Mechanically.
I would say it's higher than that.
Okay. So then it needs to make a save against the animal friendship. That's what I was asking.
Okay, cool. So what is the save against?
14. And it is a wisdom saving throw.
Got a 6, so it soundly fails that.
Yes. So then it lets me convince it that I mean no harm. And yeah, it's essentially friends for the duration of the spell, which is 24 hours, unless one of the companions harms it or the spell ends.
Okay. What does it look like as you're casting animal friendship upon this bound wolf?
The constellations on my arm glow again, and for a moment I'd say there's almost like a wolf face on the back of my hand. And the words that come out like almost as a bestial growl. Interestingly enough, part of animal friendship, a material component is a morsel of food. So then like the glowing light goes into the rations that we have, and then I'm going to toss them out.
Yeah, you toss it out, and like the glow seems to like enshroud this bound wolf for a moment, just as its companions manage to break the chain that Oka had wrapped around its legs, and it shakes itself free, and then you see all of the wolves turn like at once, and they begin to salivate immediately upon sniffing and sensing these rations, and they just immediately dive toward the rations, but the one charmed wolf pauses and seems to be able to like almost sense or see you, even though you know that it can't see you through the opaque wall. There seems to be like a moment of connection between you, Agwoon, and this wolf.
Like a fool, I walk just outside.
Like a fool! Is anyone stopping Agwoon?
Go for it.
I'm watching. Just not doing anything.
He's gonna like walk up to the door and like be very close.
Okay. Agwoon, you step out. The other wolves, thankfully, are so intoxicated by these rations that they're just tearing into. But this one wolf is looking at you, and it's huge. How tall are you?
Let's say like just 6 foot.
Comes up to maybe your chest area.
That's
like,
horrifying.
Just standing, and it cocks its head a little, looking at you. You can see it salivating a bit from the prestidigitized food. Cocks its head, and you just hear it say, and you can still understand it because you still have Speak with Animals active. Friend. This friend. This wolf sort of snarls, and the other wolves pause from eating to look up, and all of their red eyes are fixed upon you. There's at least like 6 or 7 wolves here, and they're freaking huge. Agwoon, I know you're a druid, right? But they're still like apex predators of this tundra. So they're all looking at you, and a few of them have like meat jerkies like dangling from their mouths. And the one that you charmed goes, "Help. Need help."
Yes, please.
How?
We need to get somewhere quickly. Can you take us?
More food after help.
I have more, yes.
Help! And like they all sort of like snarl, and all of them sort of like echo amongst themselves, "Help! And they're all like snarling and sniffling, and they all like finish tearing into the food. But you have secured the help of these wolves.
I'm gonna walk back in. I think we have transportation now.
Just want to check. Just checking really quick that they're not horses?
No, wolves.
Okay.
They're like horses, but bigger teeth, longer tails, and they bark.
You want me to sit on a wolf?
Would you rather stay here and let in something even worse pick apart your feathers, friend?
Now might be a good time to mention that wolves may not be the only thing out here. Togo's told me about yetis.
Oh yes. Potentially things worse than that too, but we might be lucky not to see them.
I, for one, based on the things I've seen these last 2 months, I think riding wolves is not the most strange thing we've done as parties, so I'm all for this idea.
Dewey, you can ride with me. How about that?
I believe time is of the essence.
Let's go.
The
Always
tiny
talk.
hut's gone.
Okay, you have questions. Let's ride and answer.
Yep, as the winds buffet into all of you instantly as soon as Adaria dispels the magic. So, are y'all riding the wolves? Agwoon, did you want something? You said something about gliding?
Well, I mean, if they're big enough to ride, I'm gonna do that instead.
Okay, they're pretty damn big.
Yeah. No, I was gonna do more extra with magic, but if we can ride them, heck yeah.
Okay,
Even better.
I think you can. Manaya, the biggest wolf goes to you because you're pretty damn large. Yes, Ugmoon.
Oh, I was just excited about wolves. That's
Yep, riding wolves. Let's do it. So you each maybe like pick a wolf and you get on. They finish like they're really hungry. They like finish scarfing up the rations, and you notice a few of them are like looking at you, Adaria, like hungrily, and you, Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V. All of them are sort of like licking their chops and salivating, looking at the five of you. But the main wolf, which thankfully seemed to have been the alpha, is able to go, stop, no eating, help, and then food. Is able to sort of like talk down the other wolves. But all you hear are like growling, hungry growling from these predators.
I will take one more ration of mine, cast Prestidigitation on it to make it smell anything that's not bird-like. And again, like something like a steak or something, and I'll hand it to Dewey. And I say, when you get to yours, feed it so it may trust you and know that you are friend, not food.
I hold it like it's hot, like away from me.
Yep. And with that, all of you are able to sort of like get on your wolves, get situated, feeding them rations, but the main alpha wolf is like keeping them in check. Okay. And all of you, it's quite a picture, are straddling these wolves. You hold onto their fur, they dip their heads, and they head toward the foothills. And as you're like, I don't know what wolf paws sound like in the snow, maybe, as you're like rushing through the tundra and more. It's my Foley work, definitely my strongest suit as a GM. Stop making fun of me. Blizzards buffeting you side to side, but it's not quite so loud that you can't hear each other over the windstorm. So what are the 6 of you saying to each other as you're heading toward your destination?
I'll open and say, as we're going, the wind kind of carrying on, I believe one of you had questions, so that might be a good place to start.
Oka actually looks rather comfortable riding, although they seem timid, but like their body is able to do it. They go, I have plenty of questions, but I don't know if now is the time.
The funny thing about time is eventually it runs out. Like many things. So
Like
potentially like magic.
How do you know then? How do you know when your magic's running out?
You don't feel it, Oka. The instability in the weave.
I've felt instability for longer than I can remember. I don't feel anything but. It doesn't seem like something I can focus on, I guess.
But that's the problem. When you get used to the instability, you recognize it as normal. And as it gets wider and wider and more cracks form, eventually it might shatter. And you have gods that disappear and disasters that form. Because the weave is breaking.
But the interesting thing is that it starts just like all things do, just like time does. It has a start, it has an end, but things do shatter along the way. And while the divine may have started, when we reach the end, potentially all magic will be gone.
For good.
There's a reason we've been traveling, and we do not tell everyone we see because information with only half of what you need to know can cause chaos.
And we are a remnant of the stars in our bodies.
I think Oka looks and gestures toward Agwun's like arms and shoulders, and they're able to kind of like, well, maybe you'll make me roll for this, GM, but maybe not. They try. That one is Galtanger, and they like, you know, like gesture on their own body where it would be on Agwun.
Just because it's fun, I'm going to use a wild shape to take a starry form instead. So Agwun's entire body looks like a night starscape with constellations all across their body, arms, and the places that you saw that were just plain skin are actually covered in stars. And they pull up their arm to reveal the constellation very clearly now. Yes, you're right.
The way my sibling and I operate is pretty simple. They who are becoming the stars themselves, to see it upon their skin so clearly, and I who study the weave in the stars and what appears upon their skin, to divine what should come and what may not come. With our combined knowledge, it is true. Sooner or later, all magic will cease to exist. What you have now is what is left in this world.
I'm more of a past.
And I can be the
suppose-
future.
Exactly.
What am I going to do when I run out of magic?
Isn't that funny? Who knows?
Let's hope we don't find out.
Maybe Oak and I will have to give you some fighting lessons.
I'd like to see that.
V just V has no response to that. She puts up her hood and just continues riding her wolf.
Okay. On this very shocking and somber revelation, the wolves draw to a stop. And the blizzard begins to die down. The wolves pause at the edge, perhaps 300 feet away or so, from those foothills that Togos pointed out earlier. You see them now sort of like huddled like a blackened monolith against the darkened sky. Starless, sunless sky. Rising in this like jagged hutch. Up. And you see like a cavern entrance carved into the frosted rock of it. The wolves hesitate. They've stopped. They didn't dump you off. No door service here. They seem to be hesitating. Agwun, you can sense it because of your attunement to nature and to these animals. There's a power in there. At Adaria, you can sense the weave like pulling at you. There's a power within these foothills that is pretty strong and is perhaps keeping these wolves at bay.
I think this is where we get off.
And where we move forward.
I'm actually going to... Good.
Maya's gonna get off her wolf and say, before we move forward, I learned some more things from Togos you all might like to know.
Ooh.
But she's gonna wait until everyone's off and the wolves are gone.
Okay, so I'm going to get off the wolf, and last spell I'm going to do, I'm going to cast Goodberry. So I'm going to put out a little sprig of mistletoe and then like drape it across my hand, and as the hand goes by, berries appear. And I'm going to give one to each of the wolves because it provides enough nourishment to sustain a creature for one day, so that they won't still be hungry.
Wonderful. The wolves immediately descend upon the berries, like crunching it, smashing it against their big teeth, and they gulp. And they shake their heads, and the alpha wolf sort of like inclines its head deeply toward you, Agwun, in like a gesture of respect.
I bow.
Thank you. We will remember your kindness.
And I yours. And then I walk back to the party.
And the wolf lets out a howl, and they all turn and they disappear into the blizzard.
Puppies. As you were saying.
The blizzard has cleared, has it?
It's starting to die down, but it hasn't cleared completely yet.
Manai's gonna sit cross-legged on the floor, in the way that Merosians tend to tell stories, or cross-legged on the ground rather, and say, and gesture for everyone else to sit down. Togos told me about what his family did to curry favor with the spirit. I don't know if curry favor is the right word. To our new companions, we have met some emissaries of the gods. It sounds strange, but with how many times it's happened, it's almost our new normal. And they seem, a few of them at least, have seemed to been overcome with a sort of, well, rage. And Manaya glances at Oka. So we are likely going into some danger. Luckily, Togos has informed me of what his ancestors have done to curry favor. They provide offerings. Of course, berries, meats, and I know we've given a few of ours away, but let's hope we have some left. But the most important thing is stories. My parents have told me stories of Burrows, and I've been here once before, and so I've heard, well, the stories of how Merosians deal in stories. Currency almost isn't a thing here, but they don't use gold coins. So, anyone got a story to tell? Not here, but to the spirit once we get inside.
I think between the four of us, we at least have a dozen stories of just Dabathati.
Don't know if our little excursions in the capital will be enough, but we can give it a try.
The good thing about a story is that what we might find to be mundane, something else might find to be filled with magic itself.
We should also be careful about what our stories are about. If this is an emissary of Intbuza, it might be a good idea to avoid stories of the gods. It might be a touchy subject for them.
That's a good point, Manaya.
Okay.
That being said, and Manaya goes to get up. Let us be off.
Okay. The six of you turn and face the foothills, and you begin to trudge through the thinning snowstorm toward the entrance of this cavern. And as you get closer, the blizzard dies down more and more, but the looming darkness stays as we are turning from evening into night. Not quite there yet. It's probably 7 or 8, and given the fact that it's now turning from spring to summer, daylight stays for longer, but you only have maybe an hour or two left of daylight before everything is plunged into everlasting night and those strange dark creatures spawn. So all of you approach the entrance, and now even the magically unattuned can feel like the weave pulsing. It almost kind of feels similar, the four of you, Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V, when you stumbled upon the Naga. Not nearly as strong as like the gravitational, like a black hole pull of Udabathi's shred. But you know, it's just a fraction of that power, but there is something in there divine or fiendish, something powerful and magical. And Agwoon and Adaria, you can sense it too, just in your bones, in your blood. Perhaps, are you still in your like star form, Agwoon?
It lasts for 10 minutes, so yeah, I probably wouldn't even turn it off.
Sounds good. And you're perhaps also like illuminating like the area because of your star form, which is nice. Your stars
It does spread out light, actually.
certain constellations, 2 constellations specifically on your body, Agun, begin to glow brighter and take color. One of them glows like pure white, and the other one begins to take on the color of like golden sun rays. And all of you would recognize these 2 constellations in particular as Neatbuza and Galtanger. Neatbuza is the goddess of the northern tempest of story, ice, and weave, and Galtanger is the goddess of fields, freedom, and the sun. These 2 constellations in particular seem to be beaming on something within the foothills. And soon, the 6 of you get to the entrance. What do you do?
Wow, brain fart. Is it dark inside?
Yeah, but Agun, I guess you're casting light still from your body. It's approaching the end of the 10 minutes, let's say. So the last thing the 6 of you see before like the wild shape form vanishes from Agun's body is an ancient shrine. Has been set up kind of inside this cavern toward the back of it, maybe 20 feet in. A little humble thing. There's no like lavish decorations or anything like this. But you see many offerings that have been preserved by frost, the permafrost in here. You see offerings of like oranges, peaches, berries, sweets, cured meats, raw meats, just sort of like all around this one shrine. And the shrine seems to be dedicated to 2 deities in particular. There is like a mural in the back of Neatbuza, an old woman with like weaving on a loom, as well as Galtanger, a younger woman with, the sun radiating out of her back and huge antlers on her head. These are more abstract than like actual like impressionistic paintings, let's say.
Right before Agun's wild shape disappears, I'll say, I'll be borrowing some of that, and I'll take 2, I'll take 4 different lights from their form as it fades and are manifested with arcane, and I spread them in the air as I cast dancing lights.
Oh, I love that.
To have the starscape above us, so we have a little bit of light in here as well. So, the offering can be food, fortune, or a story, as you say.
So I am told.
I wonder what type of story they are interested in.
As you're looking around, because you cast dancing lights, more of this cavern, let's say, is illuminated. And all of you look down and you see an ancient kind of painting or carving on this icy, rocky floor. It looks like a sun. Like a large sun, and there's like spokes of like the rays are sort of like articulated, and there's a face on the sun as well.
Hello, cat.
Yeah, Mr. Bobo.
It's Mr. Bobo's face.
What do you do?
Well, shall we sit in a circle and start chanting, or?
Can I? I'm not going to even ritual cast it just because of time. And I really haven't used anything. I will use some of the essence of the starlight I just created and kind of make a not really a bubble, but just like an ethereal veil as I cast detect magic to see if there's anything innate within this what's the word I'm looking for? Offering stand thing, or anything else in this room as well.
Sounds good.
Just so I understand what's happening.
Sure. As you pull the motes of light down and they begin to like travel in a circle around you, you cast detect magic, and yeah, you sense magic coming not from the shrine, perhaps where you might expect it to come from, but from the carving that the 6 of you are standing upon. There's something about this magic. It tells you the school, right? When you cast detect magic. A transmutation.
Argun is gonna sit down. Shall
V
we tell
also
us?
sits down.
Okay.
Oka has been hanging back a little bit. They kind of seem a little bit hesitant to get too far into the shrine. But they steel themselves a little and walk forward and sit as well.
Okay.
You said the magic's coming from what we're standing upon?
Yeah. Basically what now Oka and several other people have sat down on. The carving itself.
And the carving of the two gods. I'm just
Oh, no, my apologies. The carving of the sun. With
The sun
the rays
itself.
coming out as articulated spokes.
I say, that's interesting. What you sit upon has faint traces, not faint. Magic in a raw form, transmutation, the sun itself. I wonder why.
Sorry, I'm still new to this magic thing. Transmutation?
Some magics can be placed into a school, if you will. Transmutation to change one into another. Things like you becoming lighter than air as one casts Featherfall, or someone becoming a rabbit as one casts Polymorph. Now, why would a sun have been transformed? Was it once above? You all know a sun is a star, so that is interesting. She like sits down. She's actually at that point. She sits down, takes out her book, her spell book, out of her pocket dimension, and just starts to study and like just kind of hone in for a second. And if anybody sees her spell book, it is not like a normal like leather spell book. You can tell that there's a lot of magical properties imbued into this spell book itself.
So now are all of you sitting in a circle on the sun?
I'm going to also, as I start to do this, I'm going to ritual cast Identify on the ground.
Okay.
On the tab, because now she's like, what is this?
Go for it. Yep. What about the rest of you?
You said that there are spokes kind of like in each ray.
Yep. Like coming out on the edge of the sun.
Okay, make sure they sit down in one ray, you know?
Okay. You sit down on one of the spokes. Have y'all ever seen like the Rider-Waite tarot deck of the sun? And it's just like a sun smiling and there's like, that's kind of what it looks like etched onto the ground. That's like what I'm drawing on. Okay.
And I was also going to sit on a spoke.
Okay.
Yeah, we would do the same.
V as well. Dewey?
Dewey's gonna kneel, like not quite on the carving, just like right at the edge, and like run his hands over it.
Okay, you run your hands over the carving. Sure. Agwun?
Gwen is just sitting and waiting for everyone to
Do their thing.
sit. Yeah,
Cool.
before they go.
Dewey, why don't we make an Arcana check as you run your hands over it? And let's say at this point, as a ritual, 10 minutes. Yeah, let's say 10 minutes could have elapsed by now. All of you are just sort of sitting and waiting for something to happen. How does Identify work?
Identify. You choose one object you must touch through the casting of the spell. If it's a magic item or something that's magic imbued, you learn the properties, how to use them. You also learn any spells affecting it. It basically is telling me what type of magic, what this is.
Yep.
Is this an item? Like, what is this thing?
Sure. You touch it. What did you get, Dewey?
Can I also cast Identify?
Double Identify? Sure, I guess. As a ritual or just straight up? Okay. Both of you touching this carving, casting the same spell, come to the same conclusion. This is a creature that has been polymorphed.
I get up really fast.
Okay.
And I followed suit.
That's what I thought.
Agwun, I thought we were going to tell a story. Where are you going?
I'm not telling into that.
Why?
Story?
Something.
Story? And all of you hear from the cave entrance these kind of high-pitched, squeaky voices. Do you turn?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And as you turn, you see I don't know what the group name is, coven of capybaras. sort of like peering into the entrance with their little faces up, and they're all like they look a little scared of the six of you, but they look almost hopeful as well as they're sitting on top of the polymorphed creature. Story?
Why Mahu? I believe we've dealt with something like this before.
Oh, grade 8.
The cave with the and Manai glances at Agun and Adaria. With the ball, remember?
You mean when I slipped on banana peel to make the cave open up?
Yes. I believe we have a situation like that. Right, anyone got a story?
Yes.
Manaya sits back down, this time a little farther away from the sun carving,
Sure.
but still cross-legged.
Is anyone else sitting on the carving, or have y'all like vacated the spot?
I've gotten up, however, I am looking at it, thinking about doing something soon. But I will let the story happen first.
Sounds good. So Agwin's the only one. Are you in the middle of the sun, or are you like on one of the edges? Middle? Hell yeah. Okay. I love it.
V hasn't left either. She's like, whatever Agwin's doing, she's doing.
Oh my god. Okay, V and Agwin, the two of you sit cross-legged on the face of the sun, facing each other, let's say.
Okay. And just because, you know, we're just doing things because it's fun. I'm going to cast a 3rd level spell, Summon Fae.
Okay.
So a small, like, almost like plant dryad-like creature pops up out of the ground, and let's say is almost like dancing around. So there's like a little remnant of colors as it's going around the sun, and Agun just starts. At one point in time, there were 2 twins who thought of the stars in just a sensation of beautiful light. And as they learned more and more and saw the stars fall, they saw a disappearance of the gods and divine magic. Natural disasters formed and strange arcane phenomena occurred. But these twins were curious. Very curious. They looked into these moments, phenomenon, and experiences, the vanishing, but it never felt like that was the end. They looked into it more and more, and they found that the world almost has a wellspring of magic, but that wellspring was starting to dry. Spellcasters who were not divine, who didn't have the same connection to the weave, they were losing it. Because the weave, this beautiful spring of magic, it was not receiving rain. This rain of magic from the stars and the gods. So these twins set out. They had this sense of magic that they'd embraced all of their lives, and were curious and a bit chaotic, with a hint of creativity. They would go to and from different places to find new companions and potentially new friends, until they found a very interesting assortment of folk who had a sense of wit and wonder that made life so very interesting. And they decided to share some of this world with those 4, because those 4 had their own story. But the question is, what happens next?
Roll charisma.
Deal. That's a 19.
Okay, do you add anything to it?
Just a straight charisma?
Yep.
I guess that would be 21, technically, because I'm +2.
21. Agun, as your words sort of ring out in this cavern and then settle.
Can I make one side note?
Go for
At
it.
the very end of the story, I turn into a capybara. Like, wow.
Okay, your body sort of collapses, and then fur pops out, snout pops out, and you're a capybara, facing V. And as soon as your story ends, this like question, what next, lingers in the air. All the capybaras, the coven of capybaras at the entrance, they fall silent and they They're like looking at each other, but more importantly, they are all looking at the carving that you and V are sitting on. There's a brief silence. Does anyone do anything during this brief silence?
And
I want to pull V off of it.
Oh, yeah. I say, I'll show you what's next. As I extend my hand towards the carving, and I cast Dispel Magic. But you see the stars light up on my hand as my eyes begin to glow, and I say, and I won't fail. I use my portent of 16 plus 4 is an automatic 20 if I had to roll for it.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Okay, I think that works. Daria, you press your hand on the carving. You dispel the magic while this is happening. Does anyone else do anything?
Oka takes like 2 steps back.
Okay. Manaya?
Well, the story's not over, so Benaya's not going to move.
Okay. Dewey?
She's a little a ways away from the carving, but like still sitting.
Totally.
Dewey's backing up to the wall of the cave, but like looking back to make sure the wall of the cave is not also a creature.
Sure. Okay, you back up to the wall of the cave, kind of closer to where the capybaras are by the entrance there. Sniff and look at you. V?
Just so I understood, Agwoon pulled V off the circle?
Yeah. I mean, my body's small, so you might have to help me, but...
Okay, so V is going to take the direction of this little capybara, and can I pick you up and like step away from it? So
yeah, I'm like
okay. So V is like kind of in love with the situation as she like steps away from the circle, holding this capybara.
I actually need V, because you're the main actor, make a dex save.
Perfect. That is an 11.
Would you like to use inspiration, or perhaps
We have an auto-crit.
our auto-crit?
Yeah,
Just for fun.
Let's just use a collective inspiration.
Sounds good.
Nat 20.
Hey, who even needs the auto-crit when you have that? Okay, you take the capybara and you step, the capybara that is Agwoon, and you step outside of the sun right as Adaria, and then all of you sort of feel like a snapping of the weave around you, not in a bad way, but like a hand is running their fingers across a tightened loom, and then you hear like ding 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 as the carving lights up in a blaze of fire, and like some fire rises from the spokes, from the face, from the outer rim, and then the carving rises from the ground. The fire shimmers over the top, forming a metallic cast as this carving floats, and turns so it faces all of you. And it looks like a metal sun. It looks exactly the same as the carving, but it's made of pure metal, and it's shimmering heat. And it begins to spin. The face remains stationary as the spokes of the sun begin to spin, and the spokes turn into pure flame. And like a very pleasant, it's not scorching like you're going to take damage, a pleasant blast of heat comes out from this mini metallic sun. And why don't all of you roll religion for me?
Fuck yeah.
You got a 17.
17?
Nat 20 for a total of 23.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, 19 for a total of 23.
Okay.
I also got a 23. Hold on.
Triplets.
Manaya?
12.
12. Dewey?
10.
10. Aw, too bad, so sad. Everyone except Manaya and Dewey can sort of recognize that the power emanating... This is an emissary, first of all. And if folks are unfamiliar with what an emissary is in Andake, it is basically like a magical creature that is inherently morally aligned and serves a particular god. So this is sort of how we're dealing with demons, fae, angels, like celestials, stuff like that, and like the typical Dungeons and Dragons monster manual situation. This is, thankfully, based on the fact that it's not attacking you, probably not an evil emissary. And its spinning slows down and it begins to rotate. Manaya, even though you rolled not the best, you can tell this is Shatak. This is the emissary, the spirit, right, the guardian of the hot spring, the Kuvi hot spring. And it begins to rotate slowly. And those of you who rolled really well, you even recognize the kind of emissary it is, what species it is. Is it a demon? Is it an angel? It is actually what is known as a Dugui, which is an elemental. And based on its motif and its pattern, it serves Gul Tanger, the goddess of the sun, an open field.
I'll simply say in primordial. We thank you.
Oh my god, you can speak primordial? Okay.
Many things.
Okay. You say we thank you, and this creature, it turns on like an axis. It's like vertical, it turns on an axis to face you, Adaria, and its spokes seem to glimmer a little. And its face doesn't move at all. It still has that smiling countenance. But all of you hear like telepathically in your heads, in common, the common tongue. I must thank you for waking me from this slumber.
Something told me you were not here of your own accord. I figured I'd fix that for you.
On the contrary, I placed myself into this slumber to protect the people I have sworn to defend. But upon waking, are things better now?
You see that Adaria's face doesn't drop, but doesn't change, which indicates something good. While you slumber, things were worse.
Oh, God.
And as you have awoken, I fear that the steady decline is still happening. However, while you slumber, those you protect have been worried, unable to fend for themselves. The faint essence of you still thrives, but they need their guardian. So we were sent in hopes to restore. Hopefully that was not the wrong choice and against your own wishes.
Are the rest of you saying anything? Or letting Adaria take the lead in diplomatic relations, let's say? Okay. This creature, Shatak, responds, I see. It is my only directive in this life, upon the now, is to protect the people of the Budal family. Those who have rescued me when I was but a young mote upon the now. Rescued me from a terrible demise. I now swear my fealty and my magic in their service. The great ancestors of the Budal clan were those who helped me, and now I dedicate my life to helping them. My magic is weaning. It is leaking, it is leaching out of me. I have lost my connection to my goddess, Gul Tanger, and I cannot even sense her beloved Neat Buza. And this is some extra fun lore. It is, this is news. The fact that Gul Tanger and Neat Buza could be involved is definitely news, I think, to all of you, probably. And Shatak continues to spin, regarding all of you, turning on its axis, its vertical axis to regard all of you. And all the capybaras are oh, Shatak, they're back. They're all at the corner, it goes, there is perhaps a way for me to continue to protect the defenseless. Give me some of your magic.
I will look at my sibling and say, this should not hurt us. And this might answer more questions that we have as we travel on.
I hop off V's shoulder and turn back into a person.
Okay.
Unless, DM, you're fine with me just talking as a capybara. To the
Up
other
to
guy.
you. If you want to talk as a capybara.
I absolutely do.
Okay, great.
Well, that's true. And if this is a slight repair to it, that's more knowledge than we had before, which means we may be able to repair other leaks.
Yes, the two of you are very intelligent. I had sensed this, as had many other emissaries. Now that the cataclysm has happened and the gods are gone, magic is finite. The magic that flows in your veins as druids and sorcerers and wizards to be able to tap into the arcane and natural magic that still lingers in Andake, it is finite. Consider your bodies vessels, some larger than others, like mine, able to hold more reserves of magic. The more powerful, the more talented, the more gifted, the larger your vessel, the more magic you can hold. But still, the magic is finite. But still, you may transfer magic between vessels. Pour some of your magic into me, so that I might continue to defend the people I have sworn to protect.
You will see Adaria's arm begin to glow. In recognition.
My capybara eyes will start to glow.
I can't. It's a wee.
I love this. V, are you pitching in?
V hesitates for a moment. She is looking down. She's finally, after a few moments of silence, she holds up her hand and she allows her gem to start glowing Kelly green. And she takes one last breath and walks towards this sun to contribute some magic.
Okay, so how this works mechanically is I'll have the three of you decide how much of your magical reserves you wish to give. Yes, Dewey.
Dewey also steps up.
Oh, I guess you have magic, yeah. I always forget as an artificer. Okay, yeah, you step forward as well. Oka? I guess blood hunting. Yeah, that's also magic.
I genuinely think that Oka doesn't know how to control their magic so much as to be able to give it away.
Sounds good. Okay, that's fine. So Oka, you're just not sure if you can. But Dewey and V, you join Agloon and Adaria in stepping forward. So how this works is you can declare a percentage of the magic you currently hold that you wish to give away. For example, if you say, I want to give away 10% of my magic, what this means is, from now on, every time you cast a spell, you roll 1d100. If it's 10 or lower, you are no longer able to use magic. You've run out.
Like ever?
Until you figure out, there could be but you won't be able to cast a spell, and you'll have to figure out a way to get more magic, let's say, if magic can be transferred between vessels.
Oh,
So the lower the number, the higher your chance of being able to continue to cast spells. You could even give 1% and have it be a factor of 99.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love being a guest right now.
I know, right? I know.
I was I don't think Oka knows how.
But Adaria, this is what she studied for, and not saying this is one emissary of many, so she'll be smart, but she will give 5%.
Okay, 5%. Yep. And just for consistency's sake, let's work from large number down. So if you give 5, if you roll a 95 to 100, then you're out, instead of a 1 to 5. If that makes sense, on your D100. Mm-hmm. Okay. Agloon, how about you?
That sucks. Go to somebody else first.
Okay. Dewey?
How does the emissary look after
Adaria gives some magic.
Adaria's? Good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's resolve that first. So, Adaria, you tap into your well of magic, right? What does it look like as you're gifting Shatak some of your power?
A goon has a star map and all over their body. I just have simple connected dot constellations, and you see 20 of them glow. And as I give 5% away, one snuffs out forever. So now, whenever they glow, you will never see that one glow again.
I love that.
But yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, you panned over this gift of your star, and as it pings into Shatak, the wheel starts spinning faster, and they globe it. They go, thank you, young one. But they look mostly the same as they continue spinning. I need just some more.
I ask how much more?
Shatak pauses and says, the magic that has been given to me is enough to sustain my protection for perhaps a week more. Give me more magic. I can protect them for longer. So let's say it translates to 5% is equivalent to a week's worth of help.
That's fair.
It's not very long, though.
When can we fix all of this? How many weeks will it take?
Yeah, Adaria's but you're one emissary of many.
Yep.
And you're to be that person. Your only job is to protect one thing. We're trying to fix everything, so you're not getting all of my magic.
Do you say that straight up, or are you thinking it?
Oh no, that's thought. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, sounds good. Yep.
But I'll reconcile it like this. I will say, I would give more, but respectfully, the world matters more than one hot spring. But I can give what I can.
I understand, and I will not force you to give more.
Oh, CB almost came out. I almost said, don't worry, you couldn't if you wanted to.
I don't know what's gonna happen. Agwoon steps up, and then looks at Dewey and V. I'll give enough for each of us. And Agwoon gives 15%.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow.
What does it look like? Do constellations snuff out on your body too?
I'd say not even just the constellations, the star map that is on their face specifically wipes.
As if peels off of your face, let's say, and it floats towards Shatak, and boo, and then the glow is huge. Boo! The wheel spins, and it goes, yes, yes, thank you, young one. I shall have enough energy to protect these people for at least a little while longer.
If you can reduce how you do it, it will last longer.
I know.
And then we, or they, may be able to resolve it.
Yes, my child, thank you, thank you. My gratitude is depthless. The spinning slows down a little, and it says, in exchange for this help you have rendered me, I shall impart a crucial piece of information before I enter my slumber yet again, but an empowered slumber, one that might protect those I love. There is an ancient evil in the heart of Andake. Why do you think we have been lashing out for years and years before the cataclysm? There is something rotten at the core of our realm, something foreign, something alien, something that must be burned. An ancient evil who drives us mad. The spinning slows down. Shatak begins to even out and begins to float down back toward the floor.
Well, that was a good story.
Can you please return to your form? Or have you done that already, or are you still damn capybara?
I'll go back.
And then I'll just make sure my siblings fine. I'll just care for them a little bit.
I need a nap.
This whole time, Oka, I think as soon as Shatak arrived, Oka took several more steps back and has just kind of been at the edge of the cave, like with their hand is shaking, it's like over their chest. But as this all kind of slows down, they're going to move forward just a little bit to Adaria and Agwun. I think the world would be a sadder place with less magic in it. I can try something kind of scary.
Oka?
What? There's plenty of it, right?
You know what happened last time.
Yeah, well, I'm fine. This is what I do. And Oka is going to let their consciousness fall deep into their chest. And ask Vinash, can you hear me?
You feel something in you stir, but there's no verbal reply.
A little bit more. A blessing. And they're just going to reach out one hand, offer one hand to Agwun and Adaria.
You're trying to replenish their magic, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll allow you to do it, but you know the price.
I do know.
Roll
the price.
1d6.
1d6, baby.
So for context, Vinash is a shard of Utabathi, the god of war and mountains, that Oka has received into their soul in order to save the person that Vinash was burning through. Ravi, their blood-hunting mentor. Turns out Oka is capable of holding this shred of a god inside them because they are what is known as a paragon. We don't know much beyond that. The Catchar guest star is up. What did you get?
It was a 2.
It was a 2. So every time they tap on this god's power inside them, they have to roll a die starting with a d4. They've already done it once, advancing their way up the sizes of die, and they lose that much maximum hit point. Hit points that cannot be replenished.
Wow.
Unless they transfer Vinash to someone else.
That's neat.
Yep. So yeah, it works because Vinash is a huge god, one of the 8. And Adaria and Agwun, the two of you, feel like magic, blast back into you. It's almost violent, because this is Vinash, the head of destruction, right, of Utabathi, this 3-headed god of war, and it pummels into both of your souls, and almost painfully, forcefully, your constellations light back up, almost like electricity sparking onto your skin, etching it, tattooing it back onto you.
That
just-
was not necessary.
But it was amazing.
I just want to take a bath.
And
without you two, I wouldn't get my fucking bath.
And on that, Shatak sinks into the ground. All the capybaras rush forward and they swarm all of your feet, hugging and go, yay, 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 yay. They're all hugging, and the fans demand it. They're nuzzling onto you. And on that scene, we are going to cut back to the hot spring. That evening, let's say. Even though there's no stars in the sky now, thanks to the magic you've donated to Shatak, a feeling of protectiveness, almost this is a huge tiny hut that's been placed over the hot spring and the hostel. Even though it's dark out there, there are lights and fires lit all around these hot springs, these 5 special springs. And now, Togos has been so grateful for all of your help, for bringing, as soon as Shatak sank back into the floor, into the ground, the hot spring started working again. And this magical aura of protection revitalize itself around the premises. So I think, like, I know we're a little past time, so what is sort of like the last sort of like scene or conversation that we leave our heroes on, enjoying the hot springs here?
V is actually very sullen. She's learned a lot of intense things about her, magic, and she is, yeah. So she's enjoying the hot springs, but is very like sullen.
Dewey's got some kind of a similar thing going on. You can see him at one end of the hot springs by himself, just kind of like fully clothed again, just sitting there like staring into the nothingness.
So you're clothed completely in the hot spring?
Yeah, he wasn't really gonna,
That's fine.
strip
Whatever's
into a
comforting.
bathing suit.
Sure. I mean, you will have the chance to wear special hot spring garments if you don't want to be like completely nude aside from your undergarments, provided by Togos if you want to take them.
Okay.
Okay, you're wrapped up in these like nice like cloth tunics.
It looks very comfy.
Yes,
yeah.
you look comfy. Okay, so
Looks very comfy. Which contrasts from he looks like he's seen some shit, which he has.
Yeah, all of you kind of have tonight. Okay. What about you, Manaya?
I'd like to go last, if that's all right.
Yep, that's fine. Oka?
Oka comes out to the bath area, just with their cute little bathing shorts on. They have armfuls of whatever meats, foods that they could get from Togos, and this they regard Agun and Adaria gently, and they kind of look at them as they get in the water, sighing with relief. And in the center of their chest is a huge scar that extends from their navel up to their mid chest. It kind of originates in their solar plexus. Just a huge scar, and in it are kind of these veins of gold. And they look at the twins, and they say, I was thinking about what you said about magic shattering. But, and then they turn and look at V, Dewey, and Manaya. The glue in Andake is surprisingly strong, even if things fall apart. And they kind of trace one of the lines. Things can come back together. But I'm not optimistic. And they splash off and start, and they just they lay in the water.
Agun, Adaria?
Adaria, is sitting down, feet are in the hot spring. Not really super comfortable still in one world. They are comfortable, but they're not in certain garb or anything like that. They're still in their own thing. They just lifted up their their robes and stuff. The reason I decided to speak to you all is that something told me that you would be amongst those to help with this situation. Not those who would run in fear when we give you said information. I assume we have other places to go. More places to travel, more information to attain, potentially more emissaries to find. The weave is breaking whether we want it to or not. At some point, it will run out. But as long as those like us can prevent that, as best as we can, then perhaps Andake will be just fine. But just like the stars, one by one, blotted out and left us with the cold night sky, I'll manifest my constellations on my arm. They're not gone. So just like magic is leaving, not gone yet.
Agoon will be looking for a small bird or something in the area.
Chirp chirp! A sparrow lands.
Perfect. And I'm going to cast Animal Messenger and give it a message. Elf friends are waiting at the hot spring with more food. And I'm going to send them to go deliver that to the gigantic wolves.
Brr, brr. Are you sure? Wolves?
They won't eat you. Tell them that we have food. They'll be fine.
Am I the food?
No. Berries. I promise.
Okay. I'll trust a word on this. But
Yes.
I hope if I die, my blood is on your hands. The sparrow flutters off and flies. And
then I'm walk over to my sibling. Our ride will be arriving shortly. You all are very interesting. Curious. My sibling mentioned something that would be good, and I will say she was very right. I suppose I have another story to tell. Curious. And then just sit next to my sibling, almost like matching movements. So wait for our wolves.
How awesome. What an awesome exit. Boar upon wolves. That's dope. And of course, last but not least, Manaya.
For a few minutes of this extremely serious and extremely introspective sulking and mulling around and being all wistful and horrible, Manaya is thinking, isn't this supposed to be a fun trip? And she looks over at Dewey, wistfully looking off into the sky or whatever. She squints her eyes and she's like, no. If it's not going to be a fun trip, I'm going to make it a fun trip. And she's just going to take her whole arm and splash Dewey as hard as she can. And start like a water fight.
Dewey, you squawk. Splashing occurs in this particular spring. Anyone else want to contribute anything before we like sort of fade out of the scene and end our special session?
Oka's all in.
Yep.
All in.
I'm gonna turn into a capybara again, and then I'm gonna cast my level 3 spell Tidal Wave.
How does that work? Is it just like a huge wave that just washes over everyone?
Like raise the water level by 10 feet or something?
It can be up to 30 feet long, up to 10 feet wide, up to 10 feet tall.
Okay.
It's not even like mechanically correct, but as the water's being splashed, you just see like a shimmer of stars appear as I'm casting shield. Like, no. No. It's not happening.
Just around yourself, Adaria? Or around other people as well? Or are you just protecting yourself, Adaria?
Oh, just about me. No.
Yeah!
They can do it. No. Just around me.
There's the CB coming out.
Yep. You want to see the water rise and it's splash across everyone. The capybara riding this tidal wave, like maybe laughing. Oka buffeted, Manaya buffeted, Dewey buffeted, V buffeted. Daria fine. In the midst of the eye of the storm, just water crashing against her shield.
A nice little glass of wine, just like
Yep, you're sipping some Merlot, just like
some Merlot.
Yeah, Merlot.
You know that like Elmo meme in front of the fire? Like that's me as a capybara.
That's awesome. And I actually think we could probably end the session there, right? Okay, on that image of Agun as a capybara summoning forth this tidal wave. And that was our Arc 1 Interlude Hot Springs episode. Thank you to everyone who watched, who donated, who subbed, who gift subbed, who gave bits, who participated in chat, who shared us on social media. A very special shout out to Springboard for the Arts, the organization that made this all possible. Use !Springboard in chat to learn more about them. This programming is part of Springboard for the Arts. Artists respond combating social isolation. Springboard for the Arts is an organization based in Fergus Falls and in St. Paul, MN, that is for, by, and about artists and helps artists make a living and livelihood. Also, of course, a very, very special thank you to our special guests, Gabe James Games and Critical Bard. Weren't they amazing this session? Total stars, no pun intended. Amazing capybara and magical wizardry, hijinks. That tome is so cool. Noctua, just everything Tiny Hut. The wolves, amazing, splendid. So let's just do an introduction, same sort of deal as introduction. I am Connie, my pronouns are they, he, and she. I'm the GM and executive producer for Transplanar RPG. Find us here Saturdays at 3 p.m. Central. Arc 2 pilot episode is going to be next week, next Saturday at 3 p.m. Central, so catch us there. I'm going to pass along introductions to C.
Hey y'all, my name's C. I use they, them pronouns. Oh my god. You can find me on Twitter at PieSharpArt or on Tumblr at Pie-Sharp. I am going to be drawing so much of art. Like, the capybara art is coming right now, so if you want to see it, follow me on those social medias. My commissions are open. I did the art on the overlay that you can see here. And maybe I'll do the stream, maybe I'll do art stream tomorrow and draw some stuff. I'm going to do some drawing from scenes from this episode. So hang out with me tomorrow at 2 p.m. right here if you'd like, as I draw our Hot Springs episode. And I'll pass it along to Max.
Hey y'all, I'm Max. I go by they, them pronouns. I play Dewey Quirk, our resident wet-ass pigeon. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Starchmonger. I'll pass it to Devin.
Hello, my name's Devin. I use they, them pronouns. I play the Splish Splashy Manaya. I don't have any social media presence, but join the Discord. Join.
We did it at the same time.
I beat you to it. I'll pass it on to Erica.
Hello, everybody. I'm Erica, she, her pronouns, and you can find me at Erica New Girl, especially here on Twitch. Give me a follow. Come check me out sometime. And I played Scherzo, that lovable elf who was just fangirling that entire episode. So, yeah, I will pass it on to Gabe.
Hello, I'm Gabe, he, him, Gabe James Games, pretty much across the internet, cosplayer, voice actor, game designer, and this was so much fun. I didn't realize how much I had a love of capybara.
Awesome, glad you had fun. And of course, sorry, go ahead.
No, and then I'll pass it to CB, Critical Bard.
Oh, yes. Hi. Yes, and I am Omega Jones, also known as the Critical Bard. The Critical Bard across all social media channels, playing your very ethereal, non-give-a-fuckable half-elf wizard, high-elf wizard, Adaria. This has been a lot of fun. Catch me everywhere on the socials, but I'm not going to keep that focus on me. I'm going to keep my focus on this amazing group of trans individuals who are doing the damn thing and doing the representation that many other people could be doing and aren't. So let's go ahead and show them all the love. Make sure you sub to them because I said so. Follow them. Keep them hype in your lives because I know I'm going to do that. Thank you again for having us.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited. And thank you to everyone who donated. Those tips are going directly to Gabe and CB, and it's going to be awesome. We raised so much. Thank you. We will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, right here for C's art stream. If you want to see capybara art from our Hot Springs episode, tune in for that. Follow Gabe and Critical Bard on everything. Support them, love them, everything. And we will peace out now. Stick around for a raid. I think we're going to raid Cypher of Tears playing The Sims 4, so we're going to do that. So stick around for that awesome raid, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace!